Oh, it's funny. Okay, so, and I'm going to sound like, you know that image of the dog with the propeller hat and the lollipop?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so I'm a long-term building sub-district teacher, so I get spring
Okay.
break off. So I'm a 26-year-old man that says that I'm on my spring break.
Yeah. Hello, and welcome back to the Fresh Finds Podcast. I'm Ryan, and joining me to kick off Season 6 are Joe and Kiefer of the Michigan band Tequila Mockingbird. How are we doing, guys? Welcome to the show.
Season 6? Yeah, that's crazy.
Season 6, yeah.
Doing
That's
pretty
the
good.
best season of Lost and the best season of Better Call Saul.
There we go. All
Okay.
right, we've got some good track records going. I'm really excited about it. This is our first time live streaming. If anybody happens to be catching any of this on Twitch, that'll be super exciting. But before we get too deep into it, do both of you want to introduce yourselves a little bit so that anybody who is just listening and not watching can kind of put a name to the face? Just introduce yourself, kind of what you do in the band, that sort of thing, to get us started.
Joe. I'm Joe Mockingbird. This band started as a solo project where it was just me acoustically for a while. So I sing, play guitar. So if you don't like the vocalist, that's me. And if you don't like the song structures, I'm like the primary writer. So you also, that's me as well. If you don't like the band, it's probably my fault. Let's be for real.
I'm Kiefer. I play bass in Tequila Mockingbird. I joined, I don't know, like 2 years after you were doing solo stuff. You were like solo for like 2 years or so, 2.5, maybe 3 years or something. And originally, Joe and I had a post-hardcore band called Dear Heretic we did together. And I was the vocalist and Joe was the drummer in that band. So we had already done music together, so when he went to go full band, it just kind of was like, yeah, fucking let's get Kiefer in here. I also was like, booking Joe a lot, doing the Goblin Zone and stuff, and I was having him play a lot and stuff, so it was just really natural for me to come into the band, and Joe and I are best friends, so it just works out really well.
Yeah,
so.
It's super easy.
And we're definitely going to get into some Goblin Zone stuff here in a little bit, too. That's definitely pretty high on the priority list. But kind of like starting out, what was the inciting thing, like the reason that you wanted to start making music, and why was it like a solo acoustic thing at the beginning?
Two completely different things. The reason why it was a solo acoustic thing is because when I grew up, I was a drummer. And then during the pandemic, I was like, well, drummers can't write songs. So I decided to finally grab the acoustic guitar that I had and play it. So then, despite being like a post-hardcore kid growing up, it was really easy to play like the open tuning, noodle, pop punk stuff. I could just cover Hot Mulligan songs, and that's how I learned how to play guitar. And I was for most of my life, very isolated, autistic, just by myself doing whatever. And I went to some house show, and it was Dad Cap's Swan of Lost White Corduroy Pants. And I made friends there, and I lied, and I said, yeah, I have 30 minutes of music to Gavin, who owned the house. I did not, and that's how I got my first show. But,
I knew that you were a drummer a little bit because you filled in for Final Boss Fight on drums a couple times, right?
And I filled in on drums for No Problemo when they did Coachella 2 years ago.
That's right.
That was really fun, by the way.
I think it's like sitting on the floor right next to me, but I think I have your card from that Coachella
Is that
still.
The one, like the sponge? It's the SpongeBob, or it's the one where I'm in like the Patrick suit, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah,
I have one too. It's a little selfish,
but
it's like it was a big bucket list moment for me, to be honest.
Well, I like that you've got it in the protective sleeve and the whole thing too. That's sick.
Yeah, someone gave it to me in the protective sleeve, so someone cared about me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah, so it was like you were doing the acoustic thing for a few years. And what was the reason that you wanted to go full band? Obviously, like, probably being a post-hardcore kid and like all that, that's obviously all full band music. But was there like a specific reason to go away from like the solo acoustic stuff too?
Yeah, the shows weren't fun. Yeah, the shows weren't fun. So, I mean, and for those of you who were on Instagram Reels a few years ago, you probably do know me because I was the crunching numbers guy. I was the that was quite a thing. It was that, and then the Bad Night to Be a Beer song did pretty well too. I've had quite a few people like I get to see in the crowd them have like their eyes light up and they go,
yeah,
like because
I know that one.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was that moment. So I tried to ride that wave for a bit, and then I realized I kept getting tied to folk punk, and that genre's all right. I mean, I've grown okay with it, especially at the
accustomed
time.
to it.
Yeah, accustomed to be it. Especially at the time, I just wasn't vibing with it. But also the shows were just rough.
I feel like it's also harder to get booked as an acoustic act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of it was just because I had very nice friends who were booking shows and would put me on. And it's all fun and games until you play to crowds that aren't local to 5 people who talk over you.
Sure.
Yeah, and then there was one day where it was like, I always say for the shows, that's the thing, down for the cause. I think if you be the example that you want to set for your audience, right? So stay for the shows,
sure.
Be there, watch. And there was one day I opened and I played to 5 people and 4 of them talked over me and I left. Like I just left right after I played and I drove to the other show that was happening in Ann Arbor, which was a couple of our friends' bands. And I literally walked in, I saw Kiefer and I said, that's the last acoustic show I'll ever do. And it wasn't, but like, I played a lot of really weird gigs, like last minute because I would get asked to fill in and I was just down to do whatever. There was one weird thing and it happened in Ferndale and it was like people playing on porches and just like, it was weird, dude. The vibes were weird. I was playing to like, like 50-year-old people and they didn't care. So like I did 2 originals and I was like, how much time do I have to fill for this? And then I had to fill like an hour. So I just played literally 40 minutes of Jimmy and World covers and no one knew. No one knew.
I mean, that's still kind of sick, though. That's a fun lore drop at the very least.
It was not weird, but I played a lot of weird shows in weird places to crowds that did not care. When you...
What is... Sorry, I'm laughing at my game. I'm laughing at my game. For some reason, all the characters... I don't know what's going on. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
So it was, probably close to 2 years ago that you kind of went fully, like, full band. The first time that I remember seeing you play full band, and it was kind of like right after I became aware of Tequila Mockingbird as, like, an artist in a band and stuff like that, was at Snoop Fest, which was also just your birthday party, right?
Oh my god! That's the sickest I've ever. That's the sickest I've ever been at a show, and I should not have gone. But my name was on the flyer. It was a Joe birthday thing. Yeah. I was in 2 or 3 of the acts that day, and I
played three sets,
and I had to show up and bring the kit. And I had to stay the whole time and leave, and it was 12 hours, and I was so sick. I was fucking like sick as a dog, and like I would play the set and then I literally passed out for like 2 hours because I was so sick. I had to have somebody like rush me food because I was so tired. I made it through, but
I remember, I mean, even just as somebody who went to the show, like, that was a long day. It was fun, but that was a long day of a lot of music.
Yeah. Michigan Fests do that. The local fests...
It's true.
The local fests, they go very long. And people staying for even half of the time amazes me. Because you gotta be really down for the cause to see 5 hours of local music.
It was a really cool deal, though. I remember the big one that really brought me out for that show was that I hadn't gotten to see Manor Gates yet. And they had just put out their first album like 6 months before that, something like that. And like that was one of my favorite albums of that year. Like it went so hard.
They put on a killer show.
They did.
Yeah,
the one thing that I remember, because I interviewed them like a couple months later, and we talked about throwing the bass up in the air in this just like massive church.
It's a Firebird too. It's the heaviest
is massive.
For those of you who aren't like guitar people, a Firebird bass is like one of the bulkiest and heaviest instruments that you could straight up have.
You have to carry it around in like a coffin, basically.
And he
they're not ideal.
Threw that bitch up straight in the air, and it was in a church. It caught like serious air. And,
Yeah.
You catch it, and it's the coolest thing ever. I got terrified when I saw that because I was like, are we going to be on a fail compilation?
Yeah. I mean, that would be funny, too. I mean, it'd be a good way for, like, the show to get some sort of notoriety or something, you know? I mean, like, any press is good press at the end of the day, right?
Then no press is good press for Snoop Fest. For Snoop Fest.
Yeah.
Sorry. Not Snoop Fest. Snoop Fest needs, yeah.
Snoop Fest is great, which you're
awesome.
also...
Snoop Fest is amazing, yes.
Which you're part of the booking on that, right, Kiefer?
Yeah, I've been on the committee for a couple of years now. Maybe 3 years? I don't remember. I've been involved with Snoop Fest pretty much since I moved to Lansing.
Yeah.
And it's a ton of fun.
How did you kind of get started with doing the Goblin Zone and like getting into all of the booking and like that side of things?
Yeah, so like Joe and I obviously come from like there's kind of a couple of different generations within the Lansing scene now, and we come from what we kind of refer to as like the Church of Elvis Presley generation, you know. So we met at the church. And yeah, before Joe was in Dear Heretic, I played guitar, and we had a different singer and a different drummer. And we played our first show at the church with Joe. And then went through iterations, eventually ended up with me on vocals, Joe on there. And I played the church a bunch, and it was kind of the only place any of us were playing in Lansing.
Yeah.
And one day I heard that, the folks living there, Gavin and Dane, weren't gonna renew the lease. Or Gavin and Maverick, I mean. Dane had already moved out, I think. But Gavin and Maverick weren't gonna renew the lease, and they were gonna move out. So the church was effectively done.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, damn, if the church is gone, like, the Lansing scene is gonna, like, teeter off and die out now. Because there's, like, nowhere for us to play. Nowhere for us to, like, get together. So I decided I was going to start the Goblin Zone. I had initially, when I bought my house and I started Dear Heretic, they were all like, oh, we should throw shows here. And I was like, I'm never throwing a show in my house. You're fucking crazy. I was like, that's not happening. But then, I decided to do the first one, and the first show was really cool. Clipboards played it. Sevog H played it. People who've been pretty instrumental to our journeys so far. Dad Cats played that first show, and then the second show I had Saturdays at Your Place play, which was a real big jump up. At the time they were like sitting around like 30,000 monthly listeners or something, but I just kind of like went straight into the deep end and started working with bands like around the area mostly, and did the Goblin Zone. The first year was like, the first few months were pretty tame.
Well, but
it came around to May. It's relatively pretty tame.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Relatively. Granted, like, TGZ2 and TGZ3, like, we had, like, triple crowd surfers and walls of death and stuff, like, they were wild shows.
And mind you, this is all in a garage.
Yeah, this is all just in my garage. This is pretty tame compared to what happened at some of the shows. But in May, I volunteered at Snoop Fest for the first time. So then I got involved there. And I was still only booking shows in my house. And then in June was kind of like the pivotal, like, turning moment for the Goblin Zone. There was another venue in Lansing we don't fuck with. Not even gonna name drop them. We just don't fuck with the bar. It was like the only other place to play, but we were all like, fuck this place, we're not playing here. So there was a tour that got routed to that bar, and they found out, we're like, oh, we need a place to play. Tour got sent my way, and I picked it up, and that tour was Paladin and Thanks I Hate It.
Oh, wow.
And they were the first bands not from Michigan I ever had play the Goblin Zone. And it was like a real turning moment. I realized, I was like, oh, I can like provide a place for like touring bands to come through and have a real reliable place to play, because at the time I worked a super flexible schedule. I mean, not flexible. I worked a crazy schedule. I went into work at like 4:15 a.m. and got out at like 2:45 p.m.
Oh, jeez.
And I worked like, I can't remember what it was when I started the Goblin Zone. I think I might have been working Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I would like work those days, come home, do the Goblin Zone, go to bed, go back to work, come home, do the Goblin. And I was
That's
getting like
insane.
3 hours. I was getting like 2-3 hours of sleep a night because I had to commute to Grand Rapids from Lansing, which is an hour drive,
Yeah.
So I did that like the first year and a half of the Goblin Zone's life. But that show in June that I did was really like a turning moment in like TGZ 7 was a local show, but TGZ 8 was Kerosene Heights and Callie Cousins.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then TGZ 9 was like background character, and then TGZ 10 was a Halloween show, TGZ 11 was local, TGZ 12 was like Summer Brews Leisure Hour, and then TGZ 13 was Harrison Gordon, and then TGZ 14 was Riley and Summer Brews, and it just went on from that, and I just got so many cool bands. But then eventually, by doing all these, having like all these really cool, hot underground bands that are really rising up come through, the Goblin Zone gained a lot of notoriety, and it got like really big, like really popular, to where like pretty much the minimum I was expecting for any show was like 100 people. And that was like always met, like pretty much always met, except for on like the matinees. The matinees would be kind of tame, but pretty much every show I did there was like 100 people, and it just got too big. So eventually I decided to like shut down the Goblin Zone and just start booking other places. So now I booked like a few tours. And I book at like the Avenue, which is the queer bar here, and I booked some shows in Ferndale and stuff, and so. But I really did it because I felt like there was a need for a place, and I found a niche for me to fill.
Yeah,
I'm
curious.
Very rambly, but
no, it wasn't really.
No,
that was thorough.
That's what a podcast is for. Yeah. Podcasts are for rambling.
It was thorough.
Exactly. I'm curious because you were talking about how crazy it started getting as far as like capacity and stuff like that. Did you guys ever get like shut down by the cops or like the fire department or anything
very
like
rarely,
that?
And it only started happening near the end.
Exactly 2 times. Yeah, exactly 2 times. And there's only one. I had like tours and stuff coming to me pre-booked, but I would always like pick out locals. There was one show I did where I did not have anything to do with the booking. I just kind of picked it up last minute because the friends needed a place to play. And I told them, I was like, don't promote it as like being at the Goblin Zone. Just like tell them DM for address, and then it ends up being the Goblin Zone. People show up,
Sure.
And I was like, I'm gonna take like a backseat. I'm just gonna let my friends do whatever. And the show ran like horribly over time. And then the cops showed up because we literally went over noise curfew, which was the first time it ever happened at my house. What can you do? But the show just ran really far over. So the cops showed up at like 11:20. We're like, y'all need to shut down. And then like the next year, Lansing changed the noise ordinance curfew to be 10 p.m. So,
oh, wow.
I had to adjust for that. But literally the final Goblin Zone, which I did on 4/20 of 2025, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
We got shut down during the Tequila Mockingbird closing final set. Like, literally.
That's kind of an iconic way to end it out, though, if I'm being honest.
That's how I feel.
Quite literally before our final song.
Yeah.
Like before,
that's so perfect.
We were about to close with Titania. Cops show up. I go out, give the cops a bunch of shit. It was like, the fuck are you doing here? It's not 10 p.m. They're like, we're just warning you. I was like, then fucking leave.
Yeah.
And
come back after the ordinance is actually up.
But I was like, fuck it. I don't want to play Titania a million times. I want to fucking end this. So then we just, did the final Titania. I was like, you all get one Titania. You better make this the craziest Titania you've ever seen in your life. And yeah, that was a very powerful moment. But yeah, we've been shut down by the cops 2 times for it. Yeah. What can you do?
Yeah, when it comes to being shut down by the cops, the craziest one that I always think of, not really in terms of actually being like a crazy show, but 2 years ago, my good buddies in the band Ghost Town Remedy out in Nashville, they every year, this is going to be the 4th year this year, throw a festival out there called Jorts Fest.
Yeah.
Super fun deal. But the second year that they did it, they were doing it at the Cobra, which anybody who's like kind of tapped into like the Nashville DIY scene will know the Cobra. But it's actually it's a real venue. It's not like a house, venue or anything like that. But the back patio, because it has two stages. It has like an inside stage, and then it has like a kind of patio outdoor stage. And they ended up not being allowed to do the last couple sets that were supposed to be outside, because the back patio area just across the fence are just like people's houses and stuff like that, and they called the cops, and everybody's just like giving them shit, like literally shouting over the fence, because it's like, you guys chose to buy a house that is directly behind a venue. Like, why are you gonna be so lame about that, you know? But that's like probably one of the only shows that I've actually been to that has been shut down by the cops.
The craziest cop shutdown show story I've ever had, Joe and I in Deer Heretic, we played a show called Fry Block, and it was outside of like a co-op in East Lansing, like in their, like, they had like this really big like driveway parking lot type thing. Okay. So we did the show there, and the first three bands, or first four bands maybe, it was either 4 or 5, I don't remember. First two bands, we all had great sets. It was fucking awesome. There was like 200 kids there. They were like circle pitting and crowd. It was crazy. Anti-Ghost came all the way from Detroit. They go on to play, and as Anti-Ghost is setting up, there's like this like woodsy bushes partition behind the like parking lot in the main street, which is Mack Avenue, I think was right there. Literally, a cop just comes walking out of the bushes onto the stage behind Anti-Ghost and just shining a flashlight in everybody's face, like, yo, guys, shut the fuck down. Walks over, and there's a fucking booth set up where people are selling alcohol outside. But
that's
yeah,
crazy.
This cop walks straight, like, out of the bushes like fucking Terminator or something. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's another one of the things that I find interesting about you guys, because, Joe, you're from Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Or you live in Detroit.
Yeah.
But I always find it interesting that you guys are basically a Lansing band as far as like the actual scene that like you're more involved in. I've always found that interesting, because like just the difference of it, I always found that weird.
I drive the shows. I go to all the shows in Lansing because that's where a lot of the DIY shows are, and I'm tight with the people in the Detroit area too, you know.
Yeah.
But I just kept going to the shows all the time. People just thought I was a local, and I'm like, nope, I pay $50 in gas to drive up here and back every time.
Yeah.
It's a labor of love.
Funny story.
It's a labor of love.
Joe almost wasn't the drummer in Deer Heretic because we like questioned whether or not he was going to be willing to drive out like twice a week to practice for our band. So we were like, I don't know, maybe we should look for somebody who's more local. Oh wait, did I? Am I about to have to? Oh shit! All right, I gotta lock in. I gotta fight Moonlord. But yeah, we almost didn't say we'll live stream this a little bit. I almost didn't. Yeah,
I have to change the Twitch category. We're streaming Terraria now.
Buff here. This is gonna be. I'm gonna own this. Watch. But yeah. So yeah, you know, and then also to be fair, Joe joined a bunch of Lansing bands, and for most of Tequila's lifespan, it's been 2/3 people who live in Lansing. Me and Maverick live in Lansing, you know. So
for sure, yeah. So, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it's just because like, you know, DIY was really for a long time, especially when I was solo acoustic. That's the only way I'm getting booked. I'm not getting booked by these big venues that you play that you could have an in if you have the in, but you know, if you don't, you're playing houses. That's like the weird thing that I think a lot of people who want to get into music and are struggling trying to find out how to do so. It's like, a lot of these typical venues that you are going to see and you're going to see bigger bands at, they're not really accessible for you just starting off. And some are. But, like, you need to know somebody. And it's like, well, how do you know somebody? Well, if you are college age or younger, you just got to go to house shows. And even if you're older, you got to go to house shows, but be the old guy at the house shows, which isn't fun.
I do kind of feel like Lansing has a little bit more of a house show culture than Detroit does. Detroit has a lot of, like, smaller sort of, like, mid-level venues that are fairly easy to get booked at. Like, if you want to play, like, the Old Miami or the Lager House or, like, anything like that. Like, those are not too terribly hard to get booked at. But they're also still, like, more of... more established. It's definitely, you have to have more of an in, and you kind of have to have a little bit more you have to sell yourself a little bit more if you want to play those types of shows.
And also you're forcing people to pay $15 to $20 for you, pretty much regardless. Which it's just a different vibe. Like for me, it's like, all right, if people are paying to see us, like it's not donations; they're actively paying to see us. We better put on a good show. We better do a great job at that. Okay, and to be clear, Tequila, the amount of times we played the Goblin Stone, I never got paid for it.
Yeah,
it was because I was a local, and that's how I felt. It's like, why give it to the touring bands? You have to, because touring is it's tough.
I feel like there's kind of an etiquette there that, like, you kind of learn along the way, because your first show, you might not know, like, all of that. But there's definitely the etiquette of, like, oh, yeah, if there's a touring band on the bill, you're probably going to let them take a lot more of, like, the door cut or whatever, just so they can pay for gas and shit.
Because it's like, this is the thing about, like, DIY touring, is that, like, you as a band likely can break even. It's not the issue that the band breaks even. It's that you just took a week or 2 weeks off of work and just lost your income that you would have normally had. So if you're not making that same amount of money per band member in profit, you are losing money.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The band itself can typically suffice if you go to the right venues and people who have proper etiquette and whatever. But not always. You do 25 dates, and guess what?
You're spending a lot on gas. You're spending a lot on everything else too.
And $20K a monthly seems like a lot. It's a lot closer to zero than $100K is. It's a lot tougher than you would think, and the visibility to get people to the shows or to get them aware that you're even playing is really tough, because it's like a lot of us don't have these accounts and go into a culture like, oh, here's my bands in town, so that you can get a calendar that says this is the date they were playing. And even if you do, people are still going to not know, because I swear a lot of posts that you make just straight up about like tour dates and whatever just don't do good on the algorithms that are present. So it's like,
I feel like there's so much of people, especially on Instagram, you see it a lot, where it's like the first picture, like even if it's fully for like, trying to, promote a show or whatever, it has to be a picture of a person or something, or else it's just not going to get the engagement that you want.
But
and
at
it's
the same
like
time,
just all of the engaging the algorithms and stuff is like, that's the hard part, I feel like.
Yeah, at the same time, I still think that like, if you put the picture of the person first, a lot of people are just going to swipe past it.
That's true, too.
And it's like, unironically, what I do is say I'm a fan of Hail the Sun. Every couple months, I type Hail the Sun Michigan show, just in case I missed it, to see, are they coming? And then half the time, I'm like, oh, shit, they are. And it's really hard. It's really hard to just get people to know about the shows. And I don't blame the people who go, dude, when the hell are you guys playing Cincinnati? And then the band goes, we just played there last week.
I think one of the worst that I always seem to get is like you see that like your favorite band has just been in town, because you see the post of like, oh, Detroit, you guys were awesome last night, and you're like, oh shit, I was just at home last night, like I could have been there.
I love when they play the Sanctuary and they go, Detroit, you guys were awesome last night, instead of saying the Detroit metro area of white people who came to this specific part of the city. You guys were awesome. Semantics.
Yeah. Well, that's something that I always find funny too, because like so much of like the heavier music scene outside of like the Sanctuary is often playing in Hamtramck if it's playing in Detroit, and so many like bands that are touring come around and they are like Hamtramck. What is and they're like Detroit, and it's like, it is Detroit, but it's also kind of not. You get into weird semantic shit because it's its own village or whatever. But so to move on a little bit, about 2.5 weeks ago, you guys released your first full-length album. You Always Felt Lost. How's the reception been on that so far?
From most people who've actually listened to the album, very positive.
Yeah.
From random people online, extremely negative. It's the voice, right?
I've seen a lot of the like shit posts of like people saying stuff.
I like doing that. I listen to too much No Effects at a formative age. It's just when I see stuff like that, I just smirk and I go, all right. got to do something with this because sometimes
I think
it's so hyperbolic. Like
I
learned like Midwest emo ruined. This reminded me that Midwest emo ruined music, and I was like, holy shit. Okay. Like I'll use that. That's funny.
What do you do? I liked the bit where people were saying that you guys sound like Joyce Manor pitched down. That was a
really
good bit for a little while.
I saw that and I laughed really hard the first time I saw it, and then I took it in the editing software, pitched constant headache down, and I busted out laughing when I heard it. I was like, all right,
It was kind of surprisingly close, actually.
Yeah. The inflections that Barry and I have, despite having different vocal ranges, are weirdly enough somewhat similar at times.
Yeah.
I don't mind being compared to them. They're a great band.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that new album that they put out, like 2 months ago? Something like that? I have had that on repeat for so long now.
It might be top 2 Joyce Manor for me. It might be. It's so good.
I never really got into them before this album. It was just like something where it was like, oh, I've heard the name around, but a lot of their bigger stuff was like, several years ago. And so I was like, I don't know, maybe it's too late. And then like that came out and I was like, oh shit, this is all right. I need to lock in real quick.
I said she might show up. Hi, Harley.
Hell yeah.
She's awesome.
We love getting dogs on the podcast.
She's my little rescue. Not little at all. She's a rescue.
Yeah.
Sweet dog, weird dog. But yeah, I love that record. Every song on it is super catchy. And like every single song, at one point I was like, man, this song's really good. And it's one of those albums where you re-listen to it and then you find a different song that you really like.
Yeah.
And then you keep re-listening to it. Like there's that one that has the fat lip riff intro.
Oh yeah.
That's all I hear every time I hear it. But that one's really good. I think that's whatever it was.
Something like that. I don't know.
I listened to the album in full, so I've been doing that a lot more recently. So I've been struggling with individual song names on a lot of albums because it's like
I was having that issue with your album actually because like I wanted to make points about specific songs, and it was like I was like, wait, what's the name of that one? It's like it's track 4. And then I'm like, wait, what song is that though? I'm curious how the writing has changed for you going from like a solo project to being in a full band. Is it still something where you write kind of the core of the song and then take it to everybody else to like add their parts and kind of bounce ideas off of?
Yeah, it's that. Both Kiefer and Maverick have such a strong confidence in me as a songwriter that I would just do a shitty drum and guitar demo. Because your iPhone microphone has enough quality to get kind of the idea of what
it's
you're doing.
Surprisingly good.
Yeah, especially for vocals. But I would just send the whole thing to the band, and then we would just work out the songs piece by piece, whatever. And they just trusted me. And the thought process behind it, especially for Kiefer, I like a lot of skate punk and a lot of melodic hardcore and post-hardcore. So I like my bass being pretty busy, if it can be. Especially there are moments on the record where my guitar playing, it's almost like just a loudness or like the chords being strummed more than it is necessarily the melody behind it. It's just like things are just being played. So when Kiefer just hears that and it's like the only thing that's changing, I'm playing the same chord, but I'm changing the bass note, and there's not a lot of bass in my guitar signal. They just get to do whatever they want over it, and it works. And the thing that I told them about, I was like, I can hear full moments and songs in my head. I can't hear the bass line that well. So do whatever the hell you want, and if I don't like it, you're going to have to change it. And we've never had a conversation of, I don't like that bass line.
It's always just been, hell yeah. This shit rips.
Yes.
I cook. I absolutely cook.
I feel like that's like one of the best things is when you do have that kind of trust in a band that you can really just be like, you guys do what you want to do on it, and I'm sure it's going to be sick.
Yeah, and it's like there are a couple of moments on some of the tracks we were finishing up later, like Motor City, for example, that outro with the blast beat thing. I didn't think Maverick could do the blast beat, so I just had him do like a snare roll thing, like at the end of like Chump by like Green Day, like the crashing snare roll thing, which would have sounded really good anyways. But he busted out the blast beat, and I was like, you can do that for a full section? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, baby.
We are so back.
Yeah.
One of the moments that really stuck out to me, because I just listened to the album all the way through, like an hour before we started recording. And one of my favorite little bits is there's this break in the middle of Open Fire that has this really cool like rhythmic thing. I don't really know what the rhythm would be called, but it's very like kind of Latin sounding to me.
Oh yeah,
I'm curious like how that became a thing.
I am a big proponent of not having both of the verses, if you are doing verses and the song being the same. I think the only song that does that on the album is Billions. And even though vocally there's like one or two things, it's the same verse. I'm not a big fan of that. I listen to Too Much Rise Against, and they're always intro verse, chorus, second verse that's a little different, chorus, bridge, outro. That's how they do everything. But like second verse is your chance to do something different. And I always liked when like Heal the Sun and like doing the same things and expecting different results. They just have a little jazz break. Or there's the moment in the first song in the Callous Double is Don Mars, where there's the little fun jazzy section.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I liked the idea of like, what if we just had a different vibe going on here? And then when we found out our producer had like a kalimba and stuff like that, I was like, fuck it, just go full Latin with it. Let's have fun with it.
Was this your first time like working with a producer and doing like the full like proper studio sort of deal?
When it came to being like the songwriter and like doing more than one instrument, yeah. But like for Waiting for a Miracle, I had somebody that I was recording with, and I recorded with John from Final Boss Fight for the short songs EP that no one cares about, and that's fine. It's fine. But so I've worked with people who have kind of bounced off ideas, but the process with Adam, it was also like more or less we would bounce off like tone stuff. Or like, let's try something. Really? We would try something different here. I used a lot of Adams pedals that I don't own. I can't lie. I tried to use my equipment, and then we shot out. I was like, dude, my AC30, it sounds so good. And then we shot it out with his like Marshall head with greenback speakers, and I was like, yeah, it's better. So like, we'll use it.
I mean, that's one of the perks of working in the studio, though, is you can use all this gear that your producers and engineers and stuff have that you wouldn't normally have access to just kind of really give it that extra little something.
And there are two philosophies to have. You can either have it sound exactly like it would in a live setting. And if we were going to do that, I would have probably gone through a different approach with how it's mixed as well. And I didn't. My thought process was, the Jim Adkins, Jimmy Eat World thing, where it's like, write the damn song, figure out how to play it after.
And honestly, that's kind of like my thought process going into songs and stuff like that, too, is like, I feel like the best songs are going to stand when you kind of strip back the parts a little bit too. Like if the songwriting is good, then it'll stand no matter what the arrangement is. And so my philosophy personally has also always been that like, oh yeah, do whatever you can on the album to make it sound as cool as it can, and then figure it out later as to how you're actually gonna play it live. Obviously, sometimes that gets a little complicated if you start doing a ton of stuff, but
But like as rock musicians, the record is what lives forever. The album is what lives forever. It's not necessarily your live show. Now there are exceptions, right? Like the Chariot is known for their live shows. There's bands like that, but for the most part, since we're in rock music territory, the album is what lives forever. Now, if this was jazz, if this was even opera, we'd be thinking a lot more about the intimacy of what's being made and the live performance of it, because live records half the time are what stand the test of time in those genres. And it's just like a culture thing. But like I think the way that I like it being stripped back on recording is if it's like a This Town Needs Guns Animals type of deal, or like there's certain, or like Hella, where they almost, it's like stripped back. You can tell it's a few people.
Hell yeah, Hella.
You can tell it's a few people, and they're locked in on each other. And there's a likelihood that they don't even have a click to what they're playing with. They're at that level of like connection with each other, then that's when I think the idea of just recording it live, keeping the production and After Effects really low and intimate works fantastic.
Well, and that's my other personal opinion, if we're getting into recording philosophies and stuff like that, is if you're going to do the more, we're going to make it sound like a band playing live, then fucking record it as a band playing live. Because I think that...
I agree.
In my opinion, one of the lamest things that you can do is be like, oh, we're going to make it a live recording vibe, but then you're still just playing everything to a click track. It's like, if you want to capture that live energy, then you have to play live in the room.
I agree.
Even if it's just for, a scratch track, and then you're doing all of your overdubs to the scratch track or whatever. But
I mean, I agree. Like the tried and true example of that is, right, a Metallica Master of Puppets, the Dan, which is technically in like 30 seconds, but it's just the vibe that all the band members have, and they're just like, yep, we know that.
Yeah.
And those are moments that thrive if you strip it back. But if you try and put the click to it and you do whatever, it messes it up. So, like, that's why if you listen to a math rock album, it either sounds absolutely perfect or it sounds really raw and off the cuff and a little spastic, I guess is the right word to describe it.
Sure.
And both of those can be absolutely fantastic. And it just depends on, your philosophy going into it, what you think the song should sound like, and how well you executed those ideas. I think mixing wise, when we were going into it, my thought process was like, I just want this bitch to sound loud.
Yeah. Okay.
I want it to sound loud, and we have a very unique situation where the singer is not sitting in the super high range. And we're a 3-piece, so drums are right down here, bass is right here, my voice is going to be sitting right here. My job as a guitar player is I got to fill this out.
That was actually something that I was noticing. I feel like you kind of changed your vocal style up a little bit on this album compared to like previous stuff. That was something that I noticed when I first put it on. Is I was like, Joe sounds a little different on here.
Yeah, I think it's because I'm a little bit more comfortable doing that mid-range, chesty voice and hitting some of those high notes and sitting in that little comfortable little mid-range instead of going the super low. Because the super low stuff is when it's really hard to hear. It's like the beginning of like Sour Notes is a perfect example. And I think for like somber or serious moments, it's something that I can go back to. Like, say, Tiny Voices does that. When Ben gets really in his feels, he gets really low. And I can do that still. But I've found a way to be comfortable in my mid-range and not blow out my voice. So I've been very proud of myself to be able to do that. And I was pushed in the studio a lot to do, maybe go a little higher, and maybe do this high harmony. And I was surprised at how well I did that.
I'm curious what, like, what songs are kind of feel the most personal to you on this album, because like I'm very much a vibes guy. When I listen to music for the first time, like I kind of put on a song and I just kind of vibe to it. I enjoy listening to the arrangement. I'm not a big vocals guy the first time, and the biggest one that really stood out to me, I was listening to the album the day it released, like on my drive to work, and Does It All Make Sense Now came on, and that one immediately I was drawn to the vocals right away, and I was like, this is heartfelt, man.
I appreciate that, because that's so although I did the acoustic stuff, it always was presented like it should have had a band behind it. It had a lot of energy and aggression and a lot of guitar playing that just straight up shouldn't work on an acoustic or isn't traditionally how you play acoustic stuff. That's why it was always considered folk punk to a degree. And I'd never stopped that. I play really fast. There's a lot of tremolo picking and shit like that. But that was my attempt at like, okay, here's a real ballad. This is let's do a little change here, and fuck it. I want to go to places that I don't think our contemporaries are going, because I think there's a lot of sadness, but it's about stuff that's not as material or a little more immature, and that's what relates to people, so I don't have an issue with that, right? I mean, who doesn't like a good breakup song? We like emo. We like emo music. Of course we like good breakup.
Exactly.
But this was the moment where I was like, okay, I feel like there's not a lot of songs talking about how it kind of sucks being autistic, especially right now when it's like a super quirky and relatable, supposedly fun thing. It's like, it's not really.
I blame the culture of self-diagnosis on that a little bit, because I feel like, I mean, I'm not, at all in a place to like speak on any of that, with any sort of thing, but I really feel like kind of the cultural like shift and like opinion on it was like there was a lot of like TikTok stuff where people were like, oh, here's like the common symptoms, and people are like, oh, well, I'm kind of quirky, maybe that's me, and they like self-diagnose, and it's like it kind of turned into this thing that it's kind of not.
It's tough, because part of the reason why that was the case is because it was also they were co-opting language and then just using it, like people just using STEM who aren't autistic. It's like, no, that means like a very specific thing. I don't like that you're using the language that I used to describe my specific reasons why I am often ostracized from society or not understood properly. But whatever. That song was, for the most part, acoustic. I'm like, fuck it, here's the Joe song. This is straight from the heart. And I know most people are gonna skip it. It's the acoustic track. I skip most acoustic tracks,
Yeah. Sure.
I know. It's like if we put an interlude on the album. I know you skip interludes,
but sometimes the interlude really hits.
Sometimes it does, especially if it goes into the next track.
But
like it was that one, and then it was Cold Embrace, because I just we gotta talk about, at some point, if you're an adult and you want your music to be taken relatively seriously, we gotta talk about the serious things that happen in your life. And I was just like, well, I'll go there, whatever. It's not cool. It's not cool to say, hey, I was sexually assaulted. It's not cool to say that as a guy. It's almost not even really socially acceptable to say that, but I know I'm not alone in that experience. And if there's a moment like that on the record, and it's really sad, I wanted it to be like, at the drive-ins, Invalid Litter Department, or like Alexis on Fire, Sharks in Danger, or Lot of Spew. If it's sad,
for sure, yeah.
If it's sad, really personal, let's be honest about what's happening here, because there's going to be somebody who's going to relate to that song, and it's going to make them feel seen. And that's, to me, sometimes that's 10 times more important than it is to just write another love song. Getting real and being honest about the experiences that you've had and trying to grow from it is like the point of the album, right? And I think that having that moment of like screaming and like complete disarray, it was important to me. I was like, if I'm going to do that, I need to have something with emotional weight behind it. So either it would be about some serious social event, or it would be something that happened to me. And since the entire album is typically about me and my weird thoughts and my insecurities, might as well bring it up. That one was pretty tough, lyrically. I won't lie. I get why people would want to skip that one and not want to listen to it a lot. Like, it's a big bummer. I get it. Mm-hmm. And Motor City is also a super dark song lyrically, but it's a little bit more fun, right? It's a little bit more...
That was one that I was curious about, because like I had listened to it a few times. I was listening through, actually like reading along with the lyrics, and I was like, was there a specific incident that inspired the lyrics on that?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a girl die right in front of me.
Okay, yeah.
And it's really weird and disorienting to have to push a car up and just see somebody's likely corpse just face down while you lift it up. It's a pretty traumatizing thing, and it's a thing that in a especially car dependent society that you will experience at some point, and as weird as it is to say. And I think talking about the tragedy of it was the point of the song, but there's a lot of other things that I could have delved into that I ended up scrapping, because you can only write so many lyrics. And I didn't know how long that second verse was going to be, so that's just the right length that it was. And I was like, all right, I could talk more about this, but we already recorded this. So, and it's like some songs are really wordy, and that's one of the kind of wordier ones. So I was like, I think if I say anything more, we get into a lot of dispute me without you territory, where it's just gonna blaze through them. Which is something I could explore again. But yeah, those are the really sad, deep, sad songs, because like post-hardcore, I don't want it to just be another emo record. I want to present something different, and I think that that's the backgrounds and experiences that I've had in my life, where I think a listener who gives it multiple listens will be rewarded with. That's for sure. That's part of that. I want people who listen to the album to come back through it again and find deeper meanings to songs and hear little callbacks or things that I reference other bands in or do whatever, or like little details, and they come back a third time and a fourth time, because that's what all my favorite albums do. So
yeah, for sure. So, kind of wrapping things up a little bit to bring things back up to a little bit of a higher note before we start, sharing some new tunes, some fresh finds. I do have to ask, your love of Fire Emblem is definitely not a secret to anybody. Anybody who's ever been to a Tequila Mockingbird show knows Titania. I have to know, what is your favorite Fire Emblem game, and how do you feel about like some of the more modern ones and how they've kind of like switched up the formula a little bit?
So, well, the first thing is that the Fire Emblem series is extremely consistent when it comes to the base gameplay. It's always been, and it always will be, and that's why they're genuinely good games, even if I don't like the specific story direction or the art or whatever. The basis is so good that the games themselves are fun. Favorite one is Japanese exclusive, Fire Emblem Thracia 776. And Open Fire is named after my favorite chapter in that game, because it's called Open Fire. And if I realized that, because we had it was just called Bad Guy, and then Kiefer informed me that there was a Falling in Reverse song called Bad Guy.
And so, the Billie Eilish song.
No, the Billie Eilish
there's a Falling in Reverse song.
Yeah.
Mostly there's a Falling in Reverse song.
So that had to change.
I was like, one, we're gonna get absolutely out-searched. Like, our song's never gonna show up. But two, people are gonna think there's some correlation off the bat. So no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I knew that instead of Canon set the launch, I probably would have said Ballista, because there's Ballista in that specific chapter. But yeah, that's the deep cut. The reference to my favorite chapter in the Japanese only entry of the series. That's just called Open Fire because it's a good name. And then
the funny thing is, one of my best friends since all the way back in middle school is also really big into Fire Emblem, and he's also played like all of the Japanese exclusive games. So I like know a little bit about that too.
Yeah, it's Thracia. It's the midquel, which is it's janky, but I like it. And it's mean to the player, but like you can just break the game in half over your knee if you know how to play it. So I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the modern entries, there was a lot of people arguing about Engage's story not being good and the game not being good. Well, it's like, yeah, the story wasn't good, but the gameplay itself was fantastic. I enjoyed Engage quite a bit. I also thought it was the first time the 3D models looked good in Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem always chases whatever trend is happening in anime or Japanese, culture. Like, when people are like, "Oh, Fire Emblem wasn't always this anime," I'm like, "Are you high?"
It definitely was.
It always was. And the idea of the VTuber models being the basis for the character designs for Engage, I thought worked really well, because they just got a VTuber modeler from like HoloLive to do the character designs. It worked out pretty well. But then, I don't know, I liked that game, and like a lot of hardcore fans of the series, I ended up not being the hugest fan of Three Houses, but I understand that it's the biggest game in the series, and I get the appeal. It's just so much downtime. Like, the games that I play the most are the ones that are just super linear. You finish the map, you go to the next one. Typically the ones where I can emulate them and speed them up, and then I go to the next. And I like the idea of having my resources be limited to some extent. And
that's my biggest thing that I don't like about the newer ones is like the fact that you can turn off permadeath.
I think that I understand why it is, because it's like we talk about accessibility in games. And I understand that, and I respect that. I've gotten over my boomer take on that, but kind of like when a game is mean to me. I kind of like when a game is threatening, and the video games that I'm playing are art, and that they are challenging me in specific ways, whether that's difficulty, whether that's clunky controls. Like, I like the older horror games that are tank controls sometimes, because it dissuades you from combating the foes. You have to run away. There's something psychologically that's done pretty cool about that. But yeah, sometimes I get a little meta about it, and I'm like, why do I like this game? And then I get very meta about it. But like the Fire Emblem games that have base gameplay, they're all so good, where it's like, even the ones I don't like, still pretty fun, because I love strategy games. I just love them. I love strategy sports games. Like, I'm a loser who plays like sports simulator games.
Okay. Yeah.
like
the management games.
Yes.
Are you talking about? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, out of the park baseball. You know, it's awful when you build a roster that you think is absolutely dominant after like 8 years and nobody's performing the way that they should, and you go, oh wait, this is just like real life.
Yeah, and then everybody gets injured. Listen, as a Red Wings fan for the past 10 years, I know what that's all about, man. I am so disappointed about the end of the season.
We can talk about it later. We'll hold it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little frustrated.
Little.
So to kind of close out this segment of the episode here, coming up this Friday, you guys have a show that you're playing in Ferndale.
They booked it.
Hell yeah.
They book like all our shows.
Yeah.
Realistically, they book all.
I book a lot of shows.
You guys have a show coming up in Ferndale this Friday for anybody who's watching live on Twitch and happens to be in the area. Is there anything else that you want to announce or sort of like get out there before we kind of move on? You have the floor to kind of give your like announcements and stuff.
We're also playing Stoop Fest.
Yeah.
We have a sort of like pseudo headlining slot this year. We've played Stoop Fest the past few years, obviously because I'm on the committee, and the committee puts all our bands on because it just kind of guarantees our friends will come out to see us at least, you know.
For sure.
So we're doing Stoop Fest, and that's going to be a ton of fun.
That's in May, is that right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's May 8th and 9th this year. We play May 8th. And then May 9th is huge. It's going to be really big this year. We've been selling like crazy tickets and stuff. So get your tickets now because there's actually a chance Stoop Fest might literally sell out, which like we never thought was possible.
Yeah.
Didn't think we could do because it's an entirely outdoor based festival. But at some point, you know, you sell 3,000 tickets and you put Final Boss Fight in a backyard. There's going to be like, you know,
probably 200, 300 people.
When there's only two bands playing and one of them's Final Boss, you know, there's gonna be like 500 people in a backyard. You know, so we might literally sell out of tickets this year. Just
that'd be insane.
It is one of the most fun experiences you can go on. You are going to see bands you've never heard of before, and you're going to have a great time experiencing it. Just being around people you've never seen before. I get to attend it as a person who isn't setting it up. Kiefer has to do so much stuff, and the people who do it, they're running around basically scrambling last minute to make sure everything works. I mean, they put in so much work and so much effort. It's incredible. But as a attendee, I'm just telling you right now, for the money, one of the best experiences you can do. I mean, you get an absolutely awesome night of music. You get to walk around the pretty nice suburbs in Lansing. And it's not suburbs, whatever. Nice neighborhoods of Lansing. That's the right word.
Yeah.
And the walk, you know, you can get some steps in. The bands that are playing, you're going to find a couple new ones that you really like. And I've done it every year, and every time
you also really have to get your cardio in sometimes if two bands are playing at the same time and you want to see both of them. Like, I went, it was a few years ago. It was the year that Jer headline.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was a great show, but I remember that Devin K and Teenage Halloween were playing at the same time. I was super into both of that, so I watched the first half of the Halloween set, the Teenage Halloween set, and then literally sprinted across town to catch like the last handful of songs from Devin K.
And show up if you're going to be there. Show up early on the Saturday because parking starts to become a nightmare when there's hundreds of people.
But that's one thing we have to figure out for next year.
But other than that, like guys, like this is like a legitimately fun DIY festival that you can you find so many bands in such a unique setting, and so many artists have played Stoop over the past 5 years, and they're all very good. And it's like I'm not gonna say it's like South by Southwest, but to a degree it is. Like you just walk in.
It's kind of a similar vibe. Yeah.
And there's so many different genres on the bill. Like Sevai H, he's my best friend, and he's for the people who are on Instagram Reels and sometimes get the when bro tries to out niche you, but he blank and blank. That is him. That is him. That is my best friend in real life, who we have been friends since forever. But like he's on it, and so there's like straight up just like pop stuff and EDM stuff. There's everything. There's folk punk acts. I think it's the guy from the Hotelier, right? Is doing a solo set.
Yeah, Christian Holden is doing a solo set in a gazebo in the middle of the park. Floor set, gazebo, Hotelier solo set.
So last time that happened, it was an AJJ solo set.
AJJ solo set.
And that was iconic. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
We also had Apes of the State in that gazebo, and April climbed on top of the gazebo and jumped off the roof.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
It's like I'm telling you guys, you're gonna find some of the best performers. You'll find somebody playing at 2 that's playing some weird jazz fusion stuff, and they're the best musicians you've seen, and they're just kicking ass, and they're just there. And
you'll find Battle Mode. You've never seen Battle Mode before. You'll see Battle Mode.
Battle Mode's sick, dude. Like super sick emo chiptune stuff. Super sick.
Oh, all right, cool.
Like
yeah.
actual
Battle Mode's really good, and they're playing at like 2 p.m. in the backyard. It's crazy.
Like actual Game Boy as an instrument type beat.
I love that.
It's incredible. It's incredible. We on our one or two shows that we did with Robo Pumpkin last year, we played with them, and that was one of the openers. And Kiefer and I just looked at each other and we went,
it was just like
so
holy
sick.
shit. Yeah.
That's the best part about touring DIY is that you get to see so many bands that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Starting their careers just like you did, reminding you how you were maybe 5 years ago. Or
exactly.
Like finding bands that are super sick that you get to be fans of. But yeah, unironically, I think Stoop is one of the best fests that you could go to, especially for the price. And you know that all of that money is going right back to the artists. It's pretty sick. I love Stoop. And I'm not even saying it as like a biased thing, as like a Lansing guy. I like a lot of the fests. There's just a specific vibe that Stoop has where it's like,
it's a fun deal. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going again. Actually, I need to talk to you about that later after we're done here.
Word up.
For sure.
But moving on to the next part of the episode, we're going to share some new music from up-and-coming independent DIY bands, some fresh finds, if you will. I'm going to start out. We'll kind of go around, and that's, I believe, the last song you guys chose together. So starting out, my first 2 songs, I'm kind of playing catch-up because I went on hiatus after the official 5-year anniversary of the podcast. I did Fresh Fest, and we did that at Smalls out in Hamtramck. It was a super good time, but I got really busy, and then I had a bunch of other stuff come along, so I wasn't able to do the podcast for the past few months. So my first couple songs are going to be kind of catching up on stuff that I've really wanted to put people onto and just haven't gotten the chance yet. So my first one is by a band called Smut. They are considered like guitar pop, basically, but they are a Chicago-based band, and this song that I'm going to play is called Sid Sweeney, and it's off of their 3rd full-length album. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. That's what
They remind me of, there's a band from around here called Soccer. Not soccer like soccer period. It's just soccer.
Okay.
No period. Different, but they're from Lansing. They kind of have a very similar vibe.
Yeah. Very left turn outro, but I love when the guitar
I kind of dig it though.
I loved it. I love when the guitar in those poppy songs just decides my solo is just doing the lead line, but with a bunch of fucking pedals over top of it. That's one of my favorite tropes. So I always cheese when I hear that shit. I go, oh shit, and then a pentatonic lick. Oh yeah,
that's the thing, and I love how grimy the guitar tone is too. Yeah. It's just like super like fuzzy and the thing that I really like too, going back to kind of something that you were talking about, a little earlier, is the fact that they kind of do a similar thing in the second verse, but they like switch up like the hits and stuff, just enough that it keeps it feeling fresh, and like every time that riff comes in, they do something just slightly different with it.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Also, like, lyrically, I really enjoy it because it's, very much about, like, women or people who present as femme, kind of being disregarded in a way of, like, there's the line, all she amounts to is someone's daughter. And, like, that whole thing of, like, this is what, people in this situation go through all the time of like, being either misrepresented or underestimated and like all of that stuff. And I think that, when I've kind of dug into the lyrics a little bit, I'm like, I really kind of dig the message behind it too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that is from their third album. It was something that I think I just found when I was like on Bandcamp, just like looking for new releases at one point around the time. That's one of my favorite ways to discover new music is like the Bandcamp browse thing, where you go to the bottom of like the homepage and you can just like click a genre and like click around a little bit. I love doing that.
Yeah,
I found so much cool stuff that way. So, who is next?
I believe it's Kiefer.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah,
I
that's
was
right.
quicker on the draw than Joe was. What can you do, man?
This is true.
So, do you want to give a little intro to your first song here?
I put Chow first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chow is this really cool band from the west side of the state. Like they're kind of Detroit, Muskegon. I don't know where all the members live, but they're like around, or not Detroit, Grand Rapids, Muskegon.
Yeah.
They're kind of like around that area. And it's primarily like, I don't know everyone in the band. There's a couple kids in the band. I don't know. I say kids. I think they're all like in their 20s at least. But
okay.
I'm like 28, so everyone's kind of a kid to me in the scene.
Yeah,
now,
I get that.
There's a few of them in the band, Sade, Colin, and Gabe, who had been like coming around to the Goblin Zone for a long time, or had been like big Tequila Mockingbird fans for a long time. And we recently got to play a show with them at the Pyramid Scheme alongside Jingwei and Lige and Ocean. And it's just really cool because they're younger folks in the scene that we've been kind of like welcoming into the scene and helping get their footing, I guess, in a way, and getting to see them. And they put out this song. It's off a split that they did with another band. I can't remember what the other band was right now. But Tidal is really bad about organizing artists, music, and stuff. It's almost impossible to find Chow.
That's like my
impossible to find them on there. But
yeah, that's my biggest gripe since I've switched to Tidal is finding artists, because sometimes like you'll have bands like the Tequila Mockingbird page is like this, where you're the main kind of situation, but there are some other artists, Tequila Mockingbird, that are also on there. But you'll also have things like Cheem, for example. Where they have like 3 different pages with their music like split between them because, some sort of thing with like their distributor or whatever, where it's just like it was being weird. And I feel like Tidal is the worst about that.
Yeah. No, Apple Music's not good about it
Tidal's
either.
pretty bad. It has good sound quality and all the other stuff, but it's just the user interface is really unideal.
They've made the graphics a lot better better recently, in my opinion. Like the actual like the user interface, I think is nice, but it's like, under the hood stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But all right.
Yeah, so this is Ciao. They're really good. Emo revival.
Apparently ruined music, so let's hear the ruination of music.
Ciao, 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 ciao.
Was that a clarinet?
It's a melodica.
Oh, melodica. Okay.
Shout out Sade. Sade, the absolute legend.
Not a hint of reverb in that fucking recording, man.
No. It's so awesome.
I think I love that.
So much. It's so good. It's so good.
I think I love that. Not a hint of reverb in that recording.
No,
buddy.
It is very dry.
It really sounds very like classic emo. Like it's so cool. It
does. Yeah.
I think they're really capturing the sound that they're going for super well.
A lot of bands do it, and it's the
first time we saw them. Yeah, the first time we saw them was at the House of Glenn, which is like the modern Lansing, the current Lansing, like, there's like the Church of Elvis Presley generation, the Goblins generation, now there's the House of Glenn generation.
Oh, okay.
And the first time we saw Chow was there, and they did like Ohio is for Lovers cover or something.
Oh, that's sick.
Not to me, but yeah, it's sick to most people.
I also I always love the big like chant thing, like what they did in the intro too.
I love that it's fucked up. I like that it's not good. I like that it represents like how those chants actually go live, because the chants always go poorly live.
No, it's never on time. It's always like somebody starts early, somebody doesn't know the words, but they still want to participate. So they're like incredible. Just kind of saying something.
Yeah, I love it. You can just tell that they recorded that shit at home and it was all from the heart. That's what's awesome about it.
For the record, the split is with When Words Fail, which is spelled all one word.
I was pretty sure it was with them, but I didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah, I went to the. Luckily, with our title stuff, they put the name of both of the bands in the split title name, so that it's easier to find. So that very useful for me in this case.
Dude, they do that on Apple Music, but when I click on it, it takes you to a page of just the joint artists together and not them individually, and it's the most frustrating thing ever. It's like,
I can see that too.
It's like, thank you. I know that's both the bands. Can I click on the one on the second half?
Yeah, I think I had the same issue with the Aren't We Amphibians split that came out a couple of years ago, too. Where it was like, I couldn't find the entire thing. It was only like the halves of it or whatever.
And then there's like ones where there's the one where they did like the Country Max song with The Wake But Still in Bed and a couple others where it's like, that's only on Bandcamp. They didn't even try. They're like, Bandcamp only. And all those songs are good, so it's like, damn.
Yeah, exactly. So what do we have up next, Joe?
Oh, we have, so this is a band called University, and I gotta be honest with you, this is one of the craziest emo Jason albums you're gonna hear in a while. A lot of bands claim that they have the Fall Out Boy influence. This one's legit, insane, super fun. This is a blast. I love this whole record.
Yo!
The intrusive, overblown blast beats are just frying me right now.
It's insane. Every single song, you have no clue what's going to happen the next 30 seconds. It is so uncommercial how the songs are structured.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It takes you on a ride, and like the singer sounds like he's about to die, which is awesome.
Yeah.
The guitar tones are some of the grossest you'll ever hear. And that drummer's going insane. It is spastic would be the correct terminology.
Oh, definitely in that case. I gave up. Like at first, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of like they're doing some like mixed meter kind of thing going on," and I gave up just trying to count it at some point. No, I'm like, I don't fucking know, man.
It's vibes. It's got to be 2 members, maybe 3, just looking at each other like, "Yep, this is how the song goes." And it's so raw, and it is a nice change of pace from even like our album sounds very produced. Sometimes it's nice to get that.
It's real grimy.
And it reminds me of Guitar Fight from Fooly Cooley, who are an incredible band that are no longer around.
Oh, yeah.
Except for Guitar Fight never had songs that were longer than 2 minutes, and that one's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
A lot of bands claim like the Fall Out Boy influence, and it's like, I don't know, we're pushing it, but like that one, it's like, holy. I always like the weird off the beaten path bands that just decide to write whatever they want. And I couldn't even classify it as a genre because I guess it's emo, but like it's also very post-hardcore.
It really, because that's the thing. Like the blast beats and like that kind of stuff are real, and the tremolo picking too are really leading me kind of in that like post-hardcore metal kind of direction. But at the same time, it's like it's not that at all.
But then there are some songs that just have like kind of more noodlier riffs. They keep coming back, and like I said, every song on it, there's like one where it's like a 3-minute build up into like the actual song for half of it, and most of them just blend right into each other. So it's I remember I saw that On All Places Rate Your Music very high on the emo charts from last year, and I had not heard of them.
Really?
And I was like, gotta give this a shot, because usually their choices are a little bit more, I don't know how to say it, pretentious, but they tend to be very fun.
That's kind of the Rate Your Music vibe.
Well, oh my goodness, like so crazy good, genuinely a unique band in an era.
Do you know where they're from?
You know, I have no clue, but I want to play a show with them very bad. I want to play a show with them very bad. Let me figure it out.
Oh, they're British. That's interesting. I was not expecting that.
Oh shit. Oh. Yeah, and they released an EP too, so they're releasing music pretty fast.
Yeah. Listening to it, I was kind of feeling like it sounded like kind of East Coast to me.
Yeah, that's
like I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing is that it sounds, because then you get some of the West Coast guys that sound British. And then that's when it gets weird, because some of the West Coast guys sound straight up British, and I'm like, well, why do you sing like that? I'm sure people tell me that all the time, so it's just what's comfortable.
Fair.
But like,
I do always find it interesting how different places have a sound, but then sometimes people from other places will like start to find that sound too. Like I feel like hip hop is a really good like way to like talk about that, because especially back in like kind of the early days, there was definitely the West Coast sound and the East Coast sound, and then you kind of developed like the Deep South sound out of like Atlanta and like that type of stuff. But then you kind of like they start to influence each other a little bit. That was something that I also always found interesting about Eminem, is like Eminem is from Detroit, but like all of his beats, because they were produced by Dr. Dre, are all really West Coast.
Well, it's also like
at least early.
Yeah, it's also like when Migos got very popular, so everybody decided it's time to do the triplet flow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and it's the cross contamination. It's like how everyone's doing noodle riffs now in like every genre, even in the ones that aren't really emo adjacent. They're doing like noodle riffs. So people, it's cross contamination. That was something I was kind of thinking about. I was listening to the new Era album. I know that you're not really into like progressive metalcore gent type stuff. I know that's not really your bag, but keep her unmute.
We ended up on a couple playlists with Era.
Really?
Did we?
Some of the new Era stuff were on that Spotify and the
punk,
the metal, the breaking it. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
and the Breaking and Entering playlist too that we were on. Both had the new Era song on it.
But that was something that I found really interesting. Is they kind of do like the noodle riffs in like a couple of their songs too, but then they also have like the heavy chugs under it. And you know.
So I always refer when I like first got into the emo scene around here. I was like very much more like the other type of post-hardcore from the like noodly shreddy type of post-hard. I was more to like Touche Amore, Defeater, A Lot of Dispute post-hardcore, and came into the emo scene, and I always kind of I classified it. I was like, I think a lot of Midwest emo is pretty derivative because a lot of riffs are just strum, noodle, noodle. Strum, noodle, noodle. And that formula is really successful. And honestly, once I pointed out, you'll hear it in a million songs. Our strum, noodle, noodle song is Wonderhoy. So, and that formula infected like metalcore now. So where it went from like they like combined the early like Unholy Confessions with more like shreddy like Polyphia style licks with lots of like noodly and pretty harmonic type stuff, and then you get this weird like blend of like this strum or like chug noodle in modern metalcore.
It's a really interesting evolution. Like I don't know. There's a weird like through line.
It's Rob Scallon's the through line. Rob Scallon's the through line to that.
I could see that. Actually because he's definitely like a progressive metal chuggy guy, but he's also very Midwest emo at heart.
Yeah, if there's any through line, I guess it's just a lot of people. Because I think if you ask people, most people would say that they like a Rob Scallon song, whether it's Rain or Anchor or something else. If you ask most people who make music, they at least hold respect for him, or then like Andrew Huang in the Album in a Day stuff. So if there was any through line, it would be that, or it's just metalcore and popular metalcore always chases trends. They have to stay relevant.
Like, I always kind of think of it as like, I feel like the 2018 Architects album was Holy Hell.
Which was a good record.
Great record.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was kind of the start of that because it was the Doomsday riff where everybody started ripping that off, and that was all like really, really low stuff. And then they started doing that, but they went to the higher frets to start doing like their kind of wheedly wee stuff, and then it kind of turned into what we're talking about now.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's also there's a few other things that they're doing, and then there's the Deftones worship thing that's coming back now, a lot of octane core, and it's in full force. I think that we're going to see the Deftones shoegaze metal thing for the next at least 10 years. I don't see that stopping anytime soon.
I think definitely at least through the end of the decade, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's applicable to almost anyone. It's a sound that normies like. It's a sound that people really into the scene like. New Footballhead album, very good album.
Yes,
definitely got a bit of that in it too. And
I was so blown away when I finally heard that. I hadn't listened to any of their stuff until I saw them on that show with Ben Quad.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Holy shit! I need to lock in real quick. I need to tap in with these guys."
Well, I was on the Fleshwater wave really early because I'm a gigantic fan of Vane, and I almost immediately clocked it and was telling people, "Hey, so this side project, it's really good. It might be the main project in a few years." And I ended up I don't shoot all my shots aren't usually, I'm like okay, I'm like 50%, but when I'm right, I'm right. And that's one of those where it was like immediately you could tell. And I think it's the virality of the sound and the idea, especially in modern music, it's like a vibe. If you fit the checklist on a specific vibe, then it gains a level of virality. That's why even you see it in Midwest emo all the time, right? With the Thoughts on Bullying Kids or Trash or whatever, they hit a very specific niche and a vibe, and what you anticipate from it, they hit the checklist, like they check all the boxes, so it becomes the next big sound. And then we'll find something else in 5 months from another up-and-coming band who's going to just write the next anthem for people. And it's the same thing with that metal or that shoegaze sound. There will be a new sad boy shoegaze anthem in like 6 months. It could be the Footballhead song. Who knows?
All right, so moving on, my next song is another one from last year that was a really late contender for my album of the year. I didn't end up actually making a list, but we'll say it was in my top 10 because, you know, whatever, who cares? But it's a band called Stay Inside. They formed around the end of the 2010s, but they didn't release their first full length until 2020. And they started out kind of as like a post-hardcore band, but they've turned into something that's kind of like a lot darker and more moody and not quite as heavy that I really, really like. And so this song is my favorite off of that album that came out last year. This is Old Faithful by Stay Inside.
Change the locks out 4 times more like wartime. On the killing floor, I sat here on your chopping block. Yeah, now it's working overtime. I could keep the leeway, see how they treat these people when they no longer feel the ceiling is a limit, man. Yeah, now I'm working overtime. You're wishing for a miracle. You're begging for a miracle. Bad jokes over my head, it's stripping the old paint from under your Steinway. You're pulling the wrong strings out. You're pulling the wrong strings. You're wishing for a miracle. You're begging for a miracle.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, like that's the thing that like really grabs my ears about it is like the arrangement has so many cool little parts that you just don't hear in anything else.
Like the brass,
Yeah, it was definitely a
brass section
very
comes in
interesting.
halfway through the song and then becomes
Yeah.
the lead by the end of it. That is such an
Like the muted horns are so sick.
and like the detuned guitar riff right at the end is incredible too. Like what a
Yeah.
with the lo-fi beat, drum beat in the background. That was I've never heard anything like.
And like the little Foreman shifted vocals, the really like high pitched, like squeaky, weird stuff too.
Wow,
It's like everything is like kind of dissonant in a way that works together like really well and just creates like a mood. You know?
It sounds like cursive.
Kind of.
That's the only thing I can compare it to. Wow. Yeah.
This whole album is so strong from front to back, and it's. I don't know if you've listened to any of their other stuff. Their album Ferried Away was a pretty big release that I heard a lot of people talking about on Twitter and stuff like that.
I know I've seen this band. I think maybe like an Instagram ad or they
Yeah,
opened
I'm
for a
familiar
band.
with the band.
Yeah.
But that was super cool. I can't lie. I love that.
Yeah. Like that again, that's the thing that like kind of perks my ear up about it is the fact that you're not really hearing these sounds, especially like whatever that other stringed instrument was too, the like very I'll just say Eastern because I don't know exactly where it's from, but the kind of like Asian sounding like stringed instrument, I don't know what it would be. But it's like just all of that together is such a unique sound that I cannot get enough of.
I can't imagine the thoughts going through the head to say this is what I want this to sound like, and then it actually being the end result, and that's part of the fun, right?
Well, and especially if you've listened to any of their stuff before, I highly recommend listening to at least their last album and then checking this out, because this album got a lot darker and more moody sounding, whereas the other one was a lot more kind of like emo-ish, like pop, or like power chord emo.
Like that's kind of like. That was kind of the thing with like Cursive's Ugly Organ, is that like it's a pretty stark contrast from what they were doing before, because Domestica is like a sad, dissident post-hardcore record, and then before then they're like a jangly kind of emo thing. But I love when bands change their sound. I love it. I think it's always cool
constantly reinventing yourself is like,
it's cool that they have the creative freedom and a fan base that accepts that, because it's a pretty rare thing.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff coming out of there. Highly recommend that entire album.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. That was
quite
interesting. Yeah, I can't lie. I'm super intrigued by that.
All right, what do we got up next?
This is Nunya, Waiting for You. Nunya is another Lansing band. Specifically, my older siblings' band.
All right, cool.
We love Lynn.
In Dear Heretic, Lynn was the guitar player. My older sibling Lynn, and now my older sibling Lynn has a skate punk band with a couple of their friends. Jolene, she's the singer, and Cody, the drummer, who has been filling in for Tequila Mockingbird a little bit lately, filled in on our album release show. He learned the entire fucking album in like a week for us. For the album release show, and he absolutely crushed it. And then our friend Titch, who's also on the Stoop Fest committee, plays guitar in Nunya too. And they're really fucking good. They're like super underground, to be honest. Like, they don't really get like a lot of their stripes. I think their music is significantly better than the size of fan base that they have.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, this whole EP is like 15 minutes long, and it's just fucking epic the entire way through. So,
all right.
Lynn also on the Stoop Fest team, by the way.
Yeah, Lynn's also on the Stoop Fest team. Yeah. I should have specified that was the demo that you played.
Oh.
I should have specified to play the one off the actual EP, but
Oh, my bad.
that's not. The one off the EP has like a whole like extra 30 seconds of like breakdown and stuff on it.
I can put that in the edit. This is just the live one. I can put that one in the edit if you want.
It's good.
Yeah, for sure. The actual one has like a red and black and album EP cover.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. It's really like kind of jangle poppy in a way, and I really like it.
Yeah, that's like only the demo. The EP is like fucking loud as hell.
Oh,
and
really?
All the guitars are super fucking aggressive. Yeah, the actual EP has like a totally different sound.
Oh, interesting.
I
do always find that interesting, though, hearing, like, the progression of a song going from, like, demo to final version and, like, kind of, you know, the small little tweaks that you make, whether it's, like, your band's sound has kind of evolved a little bit or, like, you know, if you just kind of decide to take a song in a different direction because you feel like it would work better that way or whatever.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's really interesting. Like, there's the Circus Survive on Letting Go demos, and those are crazy good because they sound pretty similar to the album, but there's quite a bit of differences. Then you get to hear Anthony's voice, and it sounds more like Jaturna. It's just not as produced, so you get to hear basically Circus Survive play on Letting Go songs like they were still an underground band in the Jaturna era. You hear a lot of that when you listen to demos and the little tweaks that happen depending on if the band did them as a whole band or if someone played all of the parts. Like the Tequila demos, all the drumming has way more fast and dumb fills because that's how I play drums.
Yeah.
But Maverick isn't like that.
The one that I found really interesting when it comes to like listening to demos versus like, you know, the actual end result was it a year or two ago when they did the I think it was Dookie, where they put out a whole bunch of the different versions. And, like, that one was really interesting because a lot of those changed a ton by the time they ended up on the album. Like, lyrics were totally different. Like, a lot of the song structures were kind of, like, a lot different, too. I always find that stuff so interesting.
With Dookie, I always get the feeling that they wrote the songs like they were doing a full set list, and that was the whole set list. That's why there's the transitional pieces between each other, and that's how they molded the songs and lyrics. You know, I change lyrics last minute all the time.
Yeah.
So like, I get it. And then there are lyrics that you now have to sing forever that you go, shit, I wish I rewrote them again.
I also always find it funny, though, because a lot of the time there's, like, kind of, like, goofy or, you know, kind of cringe-sounding lyrics that you'll, like, put in a song and you'll be like, I'm going to change that, and then you don't, and, like, people really latch onto it.
Yeah.
Like, one of my original songs that I put out a couple of years ago called Changes, there's a line about, because it's, like, trying to live a healthier lifestyle, essentially. True. And there was a line about eating chicken and rice, and I was like, that's so lame and, like, you know, whatever. And, you know, but I didn't have anything better, so I just kept it. And it's now, like, the line that everybody has latched onto in that song. And I'm like, I'm glad I didn't change it now, you know?
It's like in Red Sun. It's like the Red Sun counting calories gets harder after drinking 15 Miller Lights. It's like, what a fucking cringe line point. And then you listen to it 3 times and you go, the counting calories gets kind of hard. You get into it.
And everybody yells it when they play it
it's
now.
It's the fucking sickest. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you just embrace it and you're like, it's okay to be cringe. Especially sometimes punk music. It's great to be cringe in punk.
Sometimes you have to embrace the cringe a little bit. But, I really dug that song a lot. Okay, so that Demos EP was from 2024.
Yeah.
And then they put out the full thing in
2025.
Only like a couple months ago.
Yeah, pretty recently.
Really late. Okay.
Well, I mean, they're an old punk band. They don't give a fuck when they're releasing it.
No, sure. And
that's the sickest shit. I love them.
Yeah. Especially in the DIY scene, you have a lot of people who get really stoked on something that they're working on, and so they end up putting it out like really early, and then, you know, they end up putting it on a project later, but the project doesn't come out for, you know, another year and a half almost. And it's always interesting because I think that when you're independent, you have a lot more freedom to do that. And so you're just like, fuck it. I'll throw this out now, throw everybody a bone kind of, and then it'll be on the full project when the full project comes out, whenever that is,
Or you just release a single to release a single. Have music out every year. I'm starting to think that a lot of bands are doing, say they do a 12-track album, I'm starting to think a lot of bands do 13 songs and then save the B-side and then release it the year after. I'm starting to wonder if bands do that, because I know Hail the Sun, every year they release something, and a lot of times it's just a single. I'm starting to wonder if that's like an intentional thing, because 2 times they just straight up left it off the next record. And one time it was a single that, like you said, they released it earlier and then a year later it came out. But I've noticed that, or like Hot Mulligan, they just released just a random single. Do you think that they recorded 13 or however many songs for the record and then just kept one and said, release it next year?
I could see that, especially, everybody's trying to game the algorithm in some way in the internet age.
I'm wondering if they're doing that, because it would be a really smart way to market your B-sides.
I'll be honest, I prefer that method over the waterfall rollout, where it's you release a song and then you release a song and then you just release the entire album as singles, and then eventually the album's out, but the only new song at that point is just the final track on the album.
Yeah, not huge on that, but we're different because we like albums.
That's the thing too. Definitely there's not as many people who listen to albums all the way through anymore either. So I get that aspect of it too. So,
always give and take.
Exactly. So what do we got up next?
We got To Be Gentle, who is a band that, if you want to know why, the outro in Motor City sounds the way it does, well, I listened to Deaf Heaven at a formative age. My English teacher showed me 3 bands. He said, I played a show with this one when I was in a band in high school, and it was Cap and Jazz. And so he showed me Cap and Jazz and American Football, and then he showed me Deaf Heaven, because he said, you're a drummer, check this band out. So yeah, I love that black metal crossing of shoegaze or post metal or whatever that sound is. And there has been an uptick of that in the screamo scene recently with bands like Frail Body or other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And when I found out this band, this was once again a thing where I did deep digging and I saw it on a couple lists and I was like, okay, this is interesting. So they released 2 albums last year. The one that I'm showing you it's the first track on the one with a song that closes with a 15-minute track. But album that I found, no. The other one, which is, I'm showing the first track because I think it's the best for them. Mm-hmm. But they released 2 albums last year, and the second one they released has a hour-long track, straight up hour-long track, and it is like a 10-part, fades in and out, something else comes in, like straight up the Mars Volta style. Strap yourself in, buddy. You're here for a long time.
Yeah.
And that is so uncommercial, and for a band to willingly do that. And then I checked them out on Bandcamp, the album, and they had this super long, heartfelt written thing by the singer about the album and what it meant. And there is this line that they said at the end of it, I'll pull it up. It said, "Love is the only way out of this brutal nightmare that we create for ourselves and each other." And I was reading it while I'm listening to the song, and I just started tearing up. It was the first time that, I don't know, it's just different. There's something about this screamo scene and the love for music that this band has to just do something artistic and create something interesting.
Yeah.
These are, if you like this song, I got 2 great albums for you from last year, because they released 2 of them. It's good stuff. It's riffs. You'll hear it. It's fun. I'm just a sucker for that sound.
You've got me hook, line, and sinker.
I'm just a sucker for that sound. That and the Frail Body album from 2 years ago, Artificial
Yeah,
Bouquet.
that one was really good too.
Oh my god.
I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but I'm going to call it my hot take, is I hate black metal, but I love any blackened influenced stuff. It's like, I love when it's the influence on something, but I am not into just straight up black metal.
I think it needs to be a specific style of black metal if it's regular black metal for me to enjoy it. And it's the same thing with shoegaze. So it's very weird that those two genres together become one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah, for real.
I think it's how emotive it sounds, and it sounds so huge and like a spectacle that you're experiencing. Yeah. And to a certain extent, the drums just become like this wall of sound. It's so cool. Everything about it. It's like sick riffs. Great vocals, by the way. I love that guy's vocal range.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And songs are really good. And then I haven't delved into every single lyric. Obviously, it's an hour-long song. It's taken a while.
Yeah.
But they're all really good. And they have like passionate messages, like pro-Palestine messages, and a lot of things like that. And it feels important and creative in a moment where I would appreciate a lot more of that. It's something that's so, at its core, uncommercial. It's cool. And that's the thing about the screamo scene right now that I've been noticing, is that there are a lot of bands who are taking that and putting it in their new twists on it and taking it in interesting directions. And I have quite a lot of admiration for those bands because they're doing something that, in theory, is not commercial, and they're still doing it anyways and garnering at least some success. In the case of To Be Gentle, they should be way bigger. That's a band like Fantano should be giving 8 out of 10s to.
100%. I feel like he would love that.
That's just because it's incredible. It really is. And like,
I think for me, it's like it's the black metal like kind of vibe, but I like that there's a little bit more melody and riffiness to it, as opposed to like a lot of black metal kind of starts to just sound like noise after a while. And like if you're into that, good for you. But like I need a little bit more to latch onto. But it's like that is like a perfect for me.
It's also the screamo vocals too. It's not black metal vocals, the screamo vocals, and specifically screamo vocals are awesome. They're awesome. We would be doing a lot more of those if I didn't have nodules in this bitch.
Oh man, did you go through a phase where you like did a lot of like improper screaming technique and like fucked up your throat a bit?
Yeah, so there was a Scrams band I was in with Dane from No Problemo and Owen, who is now in Final Boss Fight, and I was a drummer and a screamer, and I just yelled until I'm not Jeremy Boehm. I didn't actually do the proper thing, so then I just fucked up my voice.
Well, I feel like you hear so many stories about that. If you think of like Alexi Leo from Children of Bodom, or Matt Hafey from Trivium.
Fail, Spencer Chamberlain, Under Oath, a lot of guys, Keith Buckley even.
And it's like you hear so many things about. I feel like people are starting to get better about like trying to prioritize technique, earlier on. But at the same time, it's like there's kind of a really cool rawness to just fucking screaming your throat out.
Yeah.
That like you can't really get the same way with like if you have proper technique too. So like I kind of get
hard.
it,
It's sacrificing for the art. I remember Steven told me that like Kyle from M-Wave was like, I don't know how long I can do this.
Yeah.
But
I get that for sure.
I love how the M-Wave records sound because the screams are so human. Once again, it's what lives forever. But a lot of those super crazy screamo bands are bands that we know for screaming. Either they change their sound forever, like Corey Taylor's Slipknot, right? That's another big example. Or like they just broke up after 3 years, like City of Caterpillar, or how many other bands. It's a lot easier when you're not there long term, or you don't play that many live shows. But like, I don't know. I loved everything about that. Those two To Be Gentle releases, they are incredible. They sound gargantuan. They are artistic, and they have a nice message behind them. So it was a very, very pleasant surprise to find that out, because once again, just scrolling through specific websites, seeing what people were talking about, that was a relatively highly regarded album, and I just was like, all right, I gotta give this a shot. And then I went.
I was kind of chuckling to myself a little bit too, because it was funny that we listened to this after we had the conversation about the chug, 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 wheelie, wheelie, wheelie.
That's exactly what they did.
Because I was like, we had that conversation like 2 songs ago, and then I heard it in this song, and I just couldn't help but like kind of chuckle at it a little bit. I'm like, that's exactly what we were talking about. But yeah, I like that a lot. You have me hooked. I've already saved the entire album to my library to listen to later. So
yeah,
I'm definitely into that.
The other album's got like a sketchbook thing.
Okay.
That's the one with the hour-long song. That's what I started with. But I think that other one's an incredible song to introduce people to the band too.
I'm definitely going to check out both here in the next couple days. So my final song of the evening is the new Potion Seller track. You guys obviously know this band, but they're a Grand Rapids emo pop punk kind of band. This is, I believe, the first track from an upcoming album, I think, which is out on Brain Synth Records that started last year, right? That's is it?
Yes. Yes, last year, because their first physical release was the Michael Cera Palin album from last year.
That's right. And then they also had Townies, and who else? Who else did something with Brain Synth? Was it Equipment? I think you're right. Yeah,
I think
that was
Equipment.
What I was thinking, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, Equipment.
But yeah, this song.
Moose Creek just signed too.
Oh, that's right. But yeah, this song, it's so good. All of their stuff has been incredible. The When They Get Old, I think it was the last EP. Like, I wore that thing out. I've got the tape of it, and I've listened to that tape so many times. So yeah, this is their new track.
My head on the ground, jaw to the curb when you stomp me out. I won't fight it, do it again because I like it. Was once a friend, you're a darling gem. Knew what you saw from the second I floated in. When I looked golden, relax of petulance, wore you down, broke your defense, and the suspense. Place my head on the ground, jaw to the curb when you stop me out. I won't fight it, do it again because I like it. Drag me out from the fields, show me exactly how it feels. You deserve this, you're doing everyone a service. Let's get this over with, get it over with, get it over with.
Oh yeah, those guys just rip.
Rock and roll music.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
hearing a wave of sounds of bands that I don't know how else to describe it. Despite writing these pop punky riffs, they have heavier vocal deliveries and heavier moments in their songs, despite almost having a poppier core to them. like the evolution we've seen with Hot Mulligan, or even a band like Charmer, even Arm's Length or Ben Quad. It's that they have these super heavy moments, but the basis of the song sometimes even gets poppier. We're noticing that. We're seeing a lot of bands go through a maturing phase right now. And as long as you got the hooks, you can write anything. Really, that's the key to the scene.
Exactly.
Right now, right?
It's like, and I love just a good hook, and that's one of the things that Potion Cellar excel at, is like just writing an incredible hook that you feel like you can scream along to after like one listen, and then, but then also, having those like guitar, like they're kind of almost like the like panic chords almost that they're doing there.
I think that is literally what they're doing. I think they're doing some derivative of that. We do that in Billions Must Smile. At the end of one of the riffs, you just hear it. It's just like a howled out like panic chord thing that I keep playing, and then you just pass on to it's whatever sounds good enough, and then just move on to the next thing. Because it's very, you just throw something at the wall, and if it sounds cool, it sounds cool.
Exactly.
I think that's the thing about like the modern like current emo scene, is that they care about things sounding cool more than they do about them like making sense genre wise, if that makes sense.
And I've been talking about that for a while, that it kind of, especially in the independent kind of underground scene, it feels like the genre is kind of dying a little bit, just like genre in general. And I am not mourning it, really. Like, I enjoy that people are taking influences from one thing and another thing and putting them all together. And I think that that's where, like, the stuff that is the most interesting to me is happening, is where all of these bands are just kind of putting a bunch of stuff together.
And I think it's because 50 years ago is when the electric guitar becomes what we think it is. It's a relatively new invention. We're seeing cross-contaminations of scenes that influences from people who now have infinite catalogs at their fingertips, and their two choices are, let's just write something that sounds like what the fans would expect and anticipate, because it's what they anticipate, it's what they expect, it's what does well for us, whatever. And there's no shame in bands doing that. Bands have done that forever.
No, not at all.
And then there are other ones that go, fuck it, you put that cool thing that you want in there. Why not? And do this too. Who cares? Why? Why not? And that's how a lot of bands right now, and it's super sick.
I kind of see a parallel, honestly, with rock music and the trajectory that jazz music took, where you had the first few decades where it's like you have the initial style, and then you kind of have these branching out, you get more progressive, when you start getting into, free jazz and cool jazz and like bebop and like all of these things that are starting to go away from, because originally jazz was dance music. Originally, rock and roll was dance music, and then you start getting into these things where they start getting more progressive, start playing with forms, start playing with, the sounds that they're actually using on it. And then kind of once they faded into the background, once jazz started to fade into the background behind like, rock, and then later, kind of like funk and disco and like all that stuff, was when you got a lot more of the jazz fusion stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, it's jazz mixed with rock, or it's jazz mixed with, in a lot of cases in the 80s, like Japanese jazz fusion, you had jazz mixed with like city pop type stuff. And I feel like we're kind of at that point in rock music where rock in the last 15 years has kind of faded into the background of popular music behind like rap and electronic music and stuff like that. And so we're very much in the rock music experimental phase of crossing over with different genres and things like that. And I see a lot of parallels there.
I think that's an accurate description about what's happening. And part of that is because, the music is accessible to your fingertips, and the people who are curating the music are individuals themselves. It is not labels anymore.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too.
When labels had that control, they were able to put bands that sounded alike together on tour packages to make people associate them with the other bands. And then there was, of course, the peer pressure to write. The peer pressure, of course, right? No, you're good. Their music,
I've been literally searching for the same item for the past like 2 hours, and I just found it finally.
Nah, it's sick. I love that. I
Oh
think
my god.
I think you're very
We're gonna do a live Zenith crafting in a second here.
I think you're
Here we go.
you're very right about that. And like losing the gatekeeper and the label, it has its negatives and positives, right? And I think
Yeah.
the hard thing is that like promotion for the band now is basically all on the band themselves. Like
It's true.
That's the big issue. And a lot of labels aren't putting in the work that they should to get their bands to the level that they should now. But that also opens up the opportunity for bands who are a lot more expressive and off the beaten path to write something that connects to people on a mass scale. Think about how big Black Midi was.
Yeah.
And no one sounded like that shit. Or even as popular Geese is right now. Or there are a lot of bands
they're
that
a weird ass band.
They're reinventing everything that they want to do because they essentially have a blank check. And especially for bands that are weird that get popular, blank check. If you're weird and you get popular, the label doesn't know what to do with you. They just say, go out there and do it. Primus from the 90s, perfect example, right? They just go, well,
I guess this is popular somehow. Just kind of go off, man.
Do your thing, I guess. And it was definitely the same thing with, post-hardcore when it had its moments in the 2000s, and the thing that was cool about that is that you would get a band like Drive Like J who's signed to Interscope Records who should have never been signed there before. Or bands that are super small and niche getting these gigantic budgets and ending up being commercial failures for the label, but you get a really cool, well-produced album. Now that's different because the barrier of entry for a really good sounding album is lower than it's ever been. And it like you can do it if you put in the time and effort and look up the proper stuff and recording techniques. And then the weirdest thing is now, since there's a lot of music that is super produced that was almost to an extent overproduced in the 2010s, we are seeing this revival of a want for lo-fi and mistakes.
Yeah,
and especially
and also with AI too. Yeah,
that's why a lot of people are finding a breath of fresh air in stuff like even the University album that I showed earlier. It's the mistakes and the sloppiness of it, and the raw.
Or what's that weird French Canadian microtonal band that's really popping off right now?
Or even King Gizzard,
Hans de Patrine or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, because it's people are going to that too because they're AI would never make something like this. This is insane and crazy and really fun.
So yeah, and I love that. I love that the humanness is a trend to care and let people do weird shit with music because that's how music's always progressed. That's how scenes always get further. And that's why I gravitated a lot towards the mid 2000s post-hardcore stuff because I found that lived at a formative age, and then I went back and found At the Drive-In, Glassjaw, the stuff from the early 2000s that sometimes got popular. The Fall of Troy had the hit song, but most Doppelganger, not commercial. Or Bear vs. Shark, another great example. Incredible band pushing forward rock music, but it was not a super commercial band. And to see that level of scope, because those bands don't sound alike at all. And Circus Survive toured with them, and Coheed and Cambria, and all those bands were touring together. And to an extent, we're seeing that again now with some of these emo bands. Because shit, man, Michael Cera Palin, no one sounds like them. No one sounds like Michael Cera Palin. They almost do a punk thing, but it's with such a different tone, an emo tone. When they do the punk song, it's a little fucky. You know what I mean? There's so much stuff and then there's. Yeah, obviously your fourth wave worship bands, but Bent Blood started as a fourth wave worship band, and now they have glitchy synths, glitchy stuff, and they have heavy stuff, and they do whatever. There's Sweet Pill right now, who basically, in a lot of ways, somebody explained this to me, and I didn't necessarily get it but they're an old head. They have a lot of similarities to Circus Survive.
Interesting.
Very ethereal guitar tones. A vocalist who wavers in and out on notes and pitch and whatever, who is just a charismatic fireball that you pay attention to no matter what it is. And very ethereal guitar tones. And when you think of it like that, in a more metal level, it's that is the reincarnation of that band to a degree. And they're touring, but Sweet Pill gets to tour with Hail of the Sun now. And those are two completely different bands. And
Well, and I think that's the other thing that's kind of like pushing all of what we're talking about too, is the fact that, especially on the like independent or sort of smaller scale level, the people who are starting to rise to the top a little bit more, is that they're pushing a lot more mixed bills too.
Yeah.
Which I think is another big thing for it, where you're going to a show and all the bands sound totally different, as opposed to all the bands being, you know, kind of more or less the same thing, slightly different flavors of it. I
think, and there are tourists that do that quite a bit too. Look, like we said,
a
lot of fourth wave worship right now.
Yeah,
and that's fine. You know, I like fourth wave music enough, but it's like the super mixed bills. Yeah, you're gonna probably see a band and you're gonna go, I didn't fuck with that. Just straight up, you're just gonna go, I don't care much about it. But then you'll find a band that you haven't heard of, and you go, oh shit, this is cool. And then you check them out, and then you become fans of them, and then you check them live, and then they play on a weird mixed bill, and then vice versa. Especially local openers, man. Sometimes you see the craziest local openers, and you can live in a place forever, and then you see a local opener you've never seen before, and it's the side project of a relatively big band, and you're like, whoa, why the fuck is this guy here?
There was a great local band that unfortunately never got around to making any music before a couple of their members tragically passed away last year. But the band was called I feel so bad that I'm forgetting their name now. But they were almost like performance art in a way, because their whole thing was that they were Fishfly is the name of the band, and their whole thing was that they dressed in jumpsuits and they were people who were capturing cryptids. And so their whole set was like they were opening a wormhole and like they were using all sorts of like crazy guitar effects and lighting effects to like make the sounds of like Mothman and like all this like crazy stuff. And it's like, you know, you see some of that stuff and it's like, that's never going to be commercially successful, but it's really cool that there's somebody out doing that and like, you know, getting put on a bill with like some more like quote unquote normal like bands at the same time, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
All right, so moving on, because our discussion was starting to run a little long there. Kiefer, what do you got coming up?
All right, I got Thanks I Hate It, California's premier emo pop punk band in my eyes. I'm obviously incredibly biased because I play with Thanks I Hate It pretty often. But they released an album last year called Scatterbrain, and it's a really good album. It's a lot heavier and darker and moodier of an offering than their first album, Lover's Lane, which I really appreciated. I really liked that a lot. And this song, Tonight is the Night You Fight Your Dad, is a really like heavy, shreddy kind of take for them, and just the subject matter, the lyrics and stuff all hit. Yeah, it all just hits, you know? So
it all just hits.
I'm quite literally tomorrow, which is in 45 minutes, but tomorrow I'm driving to Indianapolis to play Healer with Thanks I Hate It. I'm filling in on guitar for them.
Hell yeah.
And then Friday, we're going to be in Ferndale, where I'm doing double duty. I'll play with Tequila and Thanks I Hate It, and I'm bringing the sound and promoting and running the show.
How would you play that?
You were going to be busy.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, I'm playing Excellency Fest with them.
So that means that they probably have to wake up at like 9 in the morning because of load-in and the drive that you have from Lansing to Bay City.
I don't know. We'll see. Load-in for Excellency is usually noon or before noon. And then Sunday, speaking of mixed bills, I'm a huge proponent of mixed bills. I'm throwing a mixed bill at the Avenue here in Lansing with Ultra Deluxe. So.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
But yeah, this is Thanks I Hate It. Thanks That You Fight Your Dad. The song's fucking sick. It's so good.
It's fucking good.
They said stay, we'll have some fun. I never like to stay out long. Now when I'm drinking it feels wrong. I've fallen asleep with the lights on. And I wanna know what you're thinking. Seems like we always have patience. You write it all down for me just as once. I feel like I'm better without this fun. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. 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 And now I'm drinking, it feels right. Like falling asleep with the lights on. I don't let it bother me too much. I'm careful in the way that I'm receiving love.
I
Oh,
love that.
so good, so good, so good.
You know what? I've played that song probably 50 times in the last week prepping for these shows.
Okay.
I still just got chills listening to that.
It's a very.
That's how you know it's a damn good song.
Yeah, that's the closer, and it was worth it because they got a lot of songs on that album from a modern album. I love their sound. We met them at the Goblin Zone, and I think the first time I listened to Lover's Lane, I didn't immediately get it because I was like, "Oh, this vocalist has a weird voice," and then I got to the second listen and I went, "Whoa, I like this."
They're a band that I got into really late from like when I actually, heard them the first time or heard of them the first time because I'm not the biggest into just like the traditional Midwest emo sort of thing, I'm not and the band name specifically led me to believe that would be more what they sounded like.
They're a
and
very
so it was
band.
something that I was like, I don't know, and then I listened to them and I'm like, oh, wait, holy shit. Okay. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, they still, it's a pop punk and emo fusion.
Yeah.
But I think they lean more towards the pop punk thing a lot of times, besides the guitar riffs, the guitar riffs are very emo. But Lover's Lane was like a treat, very easy to listen to album where all the songs are actually really good on them. So it was something that I would listen to pretty frequently. Very, very good melodies. And like you can hear the punk influence in their sound. A lot of emo bands, you can tell what they listen to other than emo in the music that they create, including if they just listen to emo. You can tell that right away.
100%. If they just listen to emo, then it's basically going to be kind of copy-paste emo. But you
listen to things I hate it, and you go, oh, that's a band that likes Green Day and likes maybe Blink, I don't know. So it's hard to tell. But like you can tell that they like their pop punk a lot as well. And that you can also tell the drummer likes easycore. Because the way that he plays.
I love the vocal delivery on, especially the end, like that last chorus. Like it's such a. Sometimes I hear a song, and even the studio version, I just imagine how crazy it would go live.
Yeah, and it's like that's why I'm very excited to see this song. I'm gonna lose my mind to it. But we've met Sam multiple times. I didn't know they could do that. When I heard that. Like my eyes shot up the first time I heard it. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, if someone's gonna scream, it's gonna be Joel. They're the guy vocalist in the band. Didn't expect that one, and immediately, the lyrical content on the second record, it's a lot darker. Your song's about friends dying from drug usage, right? Something along the lines of that.
Yeah, people falling back into like drug usage and stuff like that, and it's just a very dark, very mature record compared to. Not that there weren't mature or dark themes on Lover's Lane, but
Yeah, but the thing that I noticed is that it was a lot of. It's a record lyrically that's about the fallout that you had from being around a lot of people that you didn't think would vote for a certain person that did, and you don't know how to love that person the same way that you did before then. Or at least that's how I interpreted a lot of lyricism. Yeah.
I need to dig a little deeper into that one.
How to Fight Your Dad is pretty literal song.
Yeah, for sure.
That a lot of people probably have with members of their family. I think that's one that certainly hits, especially as a guy who drinks probably a little too much.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I was recently in no contact with my mother for a certain amount of time, and then like that album came out, and I was just like, "What the fuck, Sam, dude?"
And it was nice because Sam used to be a person when you would ask them about what the lyrics meant, they'd be like, "Yeah, they don't really mean anything." So to hear that change, I think it was a mental thing where they were like, "I want to write something very direct and personal." It bums me out that album did not get the praise that it deserved at the time, and that band itself doesn't get the praise that they deserve.
I didn't really hear a whole lot about it when it released. Honestly,
they do the pop punk emo thing so much better than a lot of bands that try to toe that line. They do everything right, and it's not just that I know them personally; it's that I liked Lover's Lane before I saw them live, and then the love has been reciprocated ever since. And very special band for both of us, I would say. And
I really like that a lot.
I hope they're making albums forever. Really, I do. And they've only been supportive towards us from the beginning. And it's not just that though. Like I said, the album's really good, and I think a lot of people might not even know it's out, which bums me out because it's a really good record. Lover's Lane.
Hopefully people make it this late in the episode. I know it's a long episode, but hopefully people make it this deep and they hear it and they go, "Oh yeah, I get it." Yeah. All right, Joe, your last solo pick.
It's an old head pick. It's a band that's not around anymore. I know. This is a band called Icarus the Owl. They were around in that progressive good post-hardcore boom of the 2010s, but they didn't sound like any of their contemporaries. They write some of the best melodies you'll ever hear and are technically eons above even their own contemporaries. And especially in that genre, there was a lot of really good guitarists. And drummers. But the drummer that they got right on this EP and afterwards I forgot what his last name was. Incredible. And then this is one of those bands where I thought that I actually got upset. Like, I was like, the music industry is not going to support this. What the fuck are they going to support when I was like 16? And you know what? I went back, and every couple of years I re-listened to all of their albums, and they're all really good. So this is a fucking deep cut. This is a track that I maybe have listened to more than anything else. And if you'll hear it structure-wise, you'll go, so that's why he writes the way that he does. This is literally one of my favorite songs ever. So yeah, deep cut. Have fun. Old head pick.
I wasn't the man you thought I'd be. You're moving on with the secrets. And how can you fall asleep? You wanted to see our wedding day. You lived in one without feelings. You are dead inside. Where can I get a break? I often wonder why the thought of sleep is late.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've ripped off that like outro structure so many times. It's my favorite. It's like that catharsis that you get in the refrain that you hear in the outro. Yeah.
The thing that I was really finding interesting is coming out of the bridge into like that last chorus. There's kind of like that snare build that he keeps doing, but it's really funny because every time I expect it to like go to the next level, it like drops back down. It's like edging you for a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, building up and back down, and building up and back down, and such an interesting way to do that build up that made like the tension and release that made that even hit even harder.
They do it so well, and it's the ebb and flow of the song itself that is what I love about them. And they do it all the time, where there's this big change, and then whatever the outro is, it's different. And all of their records, they do it phenomenally. Like, I love Always Leviathan and Self-Titled so much. I think they hold up really well. I think if people kept talking about them, this would be a band that emo fans would absolutely adore. But it's just, I think if they were out right now, same band right now, they would be colossally big. But they were just ahead of their time. Writing stuff like that in 2012, 2013, 2014. If emo was given the same credibility, especially the tapping stuff, they would be like a palette knife. And that's why I love palette knife so much, is I hear elements of that in them. And I've told them,
I get that for sure.
Relatively similar vocalists, the tapping, noodly stuff, and I've told them, I'm like, you guys remind me of one of my favorite bands ever. And they're like, I don't know who they are. And I was like,
you should listen to them though.
That's the Joel Oldhead pick. If people really want to know, that's like one of like 3 bands. They'll say, hey, you probably don't know who they are, but this band's fucking incredible.
Yeah, I really like that a lot. I don't really have anything else that I can add comments wise. You've obviously got a lot more to say about it. You've been ruminating on it for years, but
like every album. And they're a concept album band. Like the first one's about the eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. I can't figure out what Love Always Leviathan's about. One of them is about like Alice in Wonderland, but they're a concept album band too.
I like bands that do the concept album thing. That was one of the things that drew me to, in my early metal days. That was one of the things that drew me to Mastodon a lot. Was that Mastodon were always like a really big, at least for the first few albums, were always like a really big concept album type band.
I think we'll do it. I think we'll do a concept album at some point.
I like it.
Or an EP at the very least. A heavily 20 minutes.
Binding of Isaac concept double LP.
You heard it here first.
That'd be
side
rough.
Side 1 Rebirth, side 2 Repentance.
Oh my god, that'd be crazy.
I like that.
but it'd be like Palette Knife lyrics where I'm like, I just got trisagian, but you're not calling me back. I love that about Palette.
Yeah.
And they also like talking about dating apps a lot.
That's true.
But yeah, I love Big Chris. And we should probably just talk about the last band, the Clipboards.
Yeah, so final one, big band for all of it. You guys are really good friends with these guys.
These are day ones.
We found out about Adam, our album producer, because I heard Endless Days, and I went, holy fucking shit, who's the guy who recorded that? And then Alec was like, Adam. And I was like, okay, Adam.
That's the guy.
What's his rates? And then I heard them and I went, okay, Adam. And then, they apparently have like 40 songs written for their next album.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're writing like 30 to 40 songs, and then they're like whittling down to do an album out of it. It's just crazy. Just casually, let's write like 30, 40 songs, guys. Yeah, they're all like deeply talented, multi-instrumentalists, and all really good at producing and doing programming and stuff. And they've all like been in bands since they were in like high school and stuff. And so, but they're good guys. They obviously played the first Goblin Zone. They also played the scariest Goblin Zone. They're a crazy band. They're a band that if you saw them in my garage, you'd think that they were the biggest band in the world.
They're also a band
They're
that
one of
stand
those.
out to me because, like, the way, especially when they play live, they do a lot of like kind of extended jammy type stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
I find it really interesting that you've got these emo kids who listen to a lot of songs that are like 2 minutes or less, and then you've got these guys who are getting them to just like rock out to these just like extended jam breaks. And
They're
I'm
a
like,
real
hell
fucking
yeah,
math rock band. They're a real fucking math rock
yeah.
band, and they are 4 super talented guys, like all multi instrumentalists. They all sing on the record. Now you might not be able to tell the difference between Alec and Drake. It took me a long time too. They sound very similar.
Yeah.
Now they don't as much, but when on that recording they sound extremely similar. But like, you want to talk about bands that where their individual songs do not sound similar to each other, but still are within the same scope. Somehow that band has the cohesiveness, no matter who is writing the songs, that it just sounds like a Clipboard song.
That's true too, yeah.
But Wasted doesn't sound like Silverware. Silverware doesn't sound like Furnaces. Furnaces doesn't sound like Independent.
Silverware is my favorite song of theirs, and I'm so sad that they rarely play it live.
I don't know if they have. I think they played it once.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, another one of those bands where like you can tell the cross contamination. Well, like that's a mean way to say it. You can tell how many different genres each of the members in those bands.
Oh, yeah.
Like the first time I saw Donnie, he wore a Drive Like Jehu, like it's 90s plus hardcore band shirt. And then I have 5 because they had the Drive shirt on. And then they have a section that he sent, that Alec Clipboard sent to me that was 15 seconds. It's just straight up just sounds like Unwound, which was crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, like what is going on here? Like, that's a band that should be had 100 times bigger. They should be touring with King Gizzard right now. I mean, seriously, that's like the crowd that would love them too. Because they're poppy, but then they're technical, and they're technical, but then they're still like this band
accessible too.
This band shouldn't work on paper, but everything is awesome. Everything is awesome, and the 4 vocalists is a fucking cool thing. I love when you can't tell who's gonna sing the next part. It's incredible. Donnie like created 2 specific tunings for the songs, and he's like, it's not that big of a deal to make your own tuning, Joe. Everyone does it all the time. And I was like, Don, you have no clue. You have no clue. They're so sick.
Time you look at me, you only see the little boy watching sprinklers in the morning. Oh, the things that brought me joy. But now I'm older and I'm getting off your shoulders, and it's time for me to jump into the fire. 'Cause the desire to become independent of anyone is taking over me. Taking over me, and I don't ever wanna have to, oh goddamn thing, the freedom to become a human being. It's taking over me, it's taking over me, and I just wanna be my own. No more leeching off each other. Your blood should be just fine. Do not hinder my direction. Run your railroad, I'll run mine. It's a saying that my father always told me, but now it seems like he was preaching to the choir. 'Cause the desire to become independent of anyone is taking over me. It's taking over me. Be my own. just wanna be myself and no one else. I just wanna be myself and no one else. I just wanna be myself and no one else. I just wanna be myself and no one else. I just wanna be myself and no one else. I just wanna be myself and no one else. I just wanna be myself and no one else. I just wanna be myself and no one else. I just wanna be myself and no one else. I just wanna be myself and no one else. I just wanna be myself and no one else. I just wanna be myself. Myself and no one else.
Goats.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Honestly,
Go to Ben.
if you've ever seen them live, like that bridge is just like iconic.
It's that
Yeah.
and the wasted. Dugga dugga.
Yeah.
Dugga dugga. Dugga dugga.
Yeah,
Dugga
yep.
dugga. Dugga dugga. Dugga dugga.
The
Oh
other
my God.
thing that I was just thinking about, like listening to it too, you know, we were talking about kind of like the blending of genres and all that, is there's such an old school feel to that main riff when it comes
Yes.
in. Like it almost sounds like it could be like an Eagles song or something.
That's the Don influence. That's
Yeah.
unironically. Donnie draws from like, I don't want to say more classic direction, but the way that
I
he
definitely hear
structures-
like a classic rock influence on
but
it,
the way
though,
that
for
they,
sure.
But the way that they structure riffs, it's so much less modern, if that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
got a lot more. Well, they can be noodly, but it's a lot more focused on like not a lot of open string stuff somehow. And even if it is, it's like that one. It's like an open string riff, but it's in I think a different tuning.
But
And,
it's
like,
also
it still
further down the
sounds-
neck too.
Yeah.
You know, you're playing something like that. It's immediately like I feel like a lot of riffs that are modern that are playing down there tend to be like heavier, kind of chuggier stuff. But you don't really have just the moving, grooving kind of thing that's just like, you know, the open through the fifth fret type of thing. You know, that's kind of what I'm hearing in a lot of that. And
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
it's very interesting.
No, they're genuinely whatever they do next. They're not going to promote it. They're just going to drop it, and it's going to be like
Yeah.
25 songs, and they're all going to be great.
It's going to
We're
be
all
incredible.
and no one's going to talk about it besides us. So we got to make them important.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's honestly the underlying message, is that you got to make the bands that you like important and talk about them if you get the chance to.
Hell yeah. Honestly, that's a great note to end on. One last time, do you guys have one last time, some shout outs of things that you got coming up before we sign off for the end of the episode?
Please listen to the record.
Yeah. Please listen to You Always Felt Lost. Definitely come to Stoop Fest. Catch us there. That's like our biggest show that we'll probably play for a good long time. Yeah, come out and hang.
Hell
Check out
yeah.
the show.
And if you want us to come out, or you're a fan of us in a band in another state or whatever, just shoot us a message. The worst thing we can tell you is no. Well, actually, the worst thing that could happen is that it goes into my Instagram spam folder, and that I only check once a week, and then I leave you on delivered for a week. But other than that, the worst thing we could ever tell you is no. So if you have any inclination to play a show with us, or you're coming through Michigan or anything like that, you can ask me or Kiefer, and we'll see if we can get something, And if you are listening to this and you're all the way at the end of this and you want to pick up an instrument but you haven't yet, start now.
Do it.
The friends I've made in this band are my best friends, some of my best friends ever.
Well, all right, guys. Great stuff. First episode of the season, over 3 hours. So we are, No, it's great. It's great. I love it.
Two neurodivergent motherfuckers talking about music.
This has been the Fresh Finds Podcast, the show about discovering new music with good people.
Fresh. Okay, I'm gonna mess this one up. eye contact. Awkwardness is kinda charming, but in large doses, it's kind of alarming. If I don't have some